Chapter 1561. Just by looking at the face of the middle-aged man, one could already tell he had a special relationship with Duan Lingtian. They most likely had a blood relationship. If Duan Lingtian really had such a relationship with a leader of a fifth-rate force or above, why would he appear in their moon illumination sect? When they thought of this, sect leader Zhang Wei and the sect's supreme elders felt certain again in their hearts. However, in the next moment, horror dawned on their faces when they discovered the skinny old man standing nearby had tightened his grip on the cane. The surroundings in a 100-meter radius suddenly darkened as though the night had arrived. At the same time, dried tree branches appeared from the sky as though they had been granted life. Whoosh, 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 comma. The speed of these dried branches was so fast that Zhang Wei and the others could not react in time. In just a blink of an eye, they were bound by the pliable but tough dried branches. Damn it, my true origin has been sealed. Horror dawned on Zhang Wei's face when he tried to struggle. He was shocked to see the dried branches that restrained him contain sealing energy. It suppressed the true origin in his body, causing him to be unable to mobilize the true origin in his body. My true origin has been sealed too. My goodness, what kind of territory is this? Comma. At the same time, the other Moon Illumination Sect's supreme elders also shouted in terror. Their voices were filled with panic and fright. They could not recall the last time they had felt afraid. When Zhang Wei and the others looked at Ku Mi again, horror appeared in their eyes. Although they knew the skinny old man was not to be trifled with, they did not expect they would be like 3-year-old children in front of an adult, completely helpless to fight back against this skinny old man. Just a mere consolidation of territory and he had completely bound them up, their lives completely in his hands. Lord, I've really never heard of Duan Lingtian before, Zhang Wei said in a trembling voice. Lord, we really didn't lie to you. If you don't believe me, you can ask the other people in our Moon Illumination sect. Lord, one of the Moon Illumination sect's supreme elder pretended to move ahead in order to hide his intention of retreating. When Ku Mi heard the Moon Illumination sect's supreme elder's words, he said nonchalantly in his harsh voice, "There's no need for so much trouble." At the same time, his gaze was instantly locked on Zhang Wei's eyes. Look at me, Ku Mi said harshly after locking gaze with Zhang Wei. His voice seemed to have consolidated as it entered Zhang Wei's ears. It took him by surprise, and he instinctively looked at Ku Mi. Ku Mi's eyes turned red as it shot out red laser and pierced Zhang Wei's eyes. Almost instantly, Zhang Wei's eyes turned dim, no longer alert as it was earlier. This is, when the other Moon Illumination sect's supreme elders saw this scene, they were stunned before realization dawned on them. It was as though they had seen a ghost as they shouted loudly, "Soul-searching! It's soul-searching secret tactic! Soul-searching secret tactic, impossible! Impossible! How's it possible for a powerhouse who mastered the soul-searching secret tactic to appear here?" Comma. At this moment, the few Moon Illumination sect's supreme elders stared at the scene unfolding before their eyes in disbelief as they muttered to themselves. However, the scene before them proved that nothing was impossible. No matter what, the few Moon Illumination sect's supreme elders were still saint-stage powerhouses. Naturally, they would have some knowledge about the legendary soul-searching secret tactic. They knew the person who mastered the soul-searching secret tactic would be someone powerful. Not only had these people completely mastered their spiritual energy and divine consciousness, but their cultivation base was exceptionally profound too. At the very least, there were not many people with such a cultivation base in a sixth-rate sect, clan or saint nation. Their heartbeats seemed to have stopped in unison. At this instant, they could not help but recall the way the powerhouse who cast the soul-searching secret tactic had addressed the middle-aged man. Lord Mansion Master, don't tell me this middle-aged man who resembles Duan Lingtian is really a leader of a fifth-rate force or above. Exactly, only a leader of a fifth-rate force or above has a powerhouse who has mastered the soul-searching secret tactic. The moment the few Moon Illumination sect's supreme elders thought of this, despair rose up in their hearts. They knew Zhang Wei had no secrets before the soul-searching secret tactic. Whatever Zhang Wei knew, this old man would find out. After a while, the crimson lasers that shot out of Ku Mi's eyes turned dim gradually as he retracted his soul-searching secret tactic. At this moment, his eyes had turned extremely cold. After Ku Mi had retracted his soul-searching secret tactic, Zhang Wei, the sect leader of Moon Illumination sect, had also regained his senses. The moment he regained his senses, he fell in a daze. When he saw Ku Mi was staring coldly at him, he once again said, Lord, I really have never heard of Duan Ling Tien before in the Moon Illumination sect. When the few Moon Illumination sect's supreme elders heard his words, a bitter expression appeared on their faces immediately. Sect leader, your words are useless now, this Lord has just cast the soul-searching secret tactic on you, one of the Moon Illumination sect's supreme elder said bitterly. When Zhang Wei heard this, horror dawned on his face immediately. Soul-searching secret tactic. Naturally, he knew what the soul-searching secret tactic was. Not only that, but he also knew how powerful the powerhouse who had mastered this spell was. Even a sixth-rate force did not have such a powerhouse at this level. It would also be easy for a sixth-rate force that did not have such a powerhouse at this level to annihilate their Moon Illumination sect that was a seventh-rate force. Despair instantly rose in Zhang Wei's heart. Lord Mansion Master, at this moment, Ku Mi disclosed everything he had learned from Zhang Wei through the soul-searching secret tactic to Duan Rufeng. Including the situation Duan Ling Tien was in previously in the Moon Illumination sect and the incident that had taken place after killing Lu Huan, the Moon Illumination sect's inner court elder who was at the Paramount Saint Rudiment stage, killing Qian Kong the Moon Illumination sect's supreme elder with just a strike of his sword, and how he managed to escape from this few saint stage powerhouses. Ku Mi had also told Duan Rufeng about the extraordinary sword in Duan Ling Tien's hand. During this time, Zhang Wei and the few others also heard Ku Mi addressing Duan Ling Tien as young Mansion Master. They finally found out about the relationship between this middle-aged man and Duan Ling Tien. As it turned out, Duan Ling Tien was his son. At this moment, only despair was left in their hearts. It did not even cross their minds that Duan Ling Tien was the son of a leader of a fifth-rate force or higher. As prophesied by the old prophet, my son is indeed a blessed person. I think the sword that grants him so much offensive power at the Saint Rudiment stage must be more powerful than the 10 super saint weapons in the 10 great saint weapons ranking. After hearing Ku Mi's words and finding out Duan Ling Tien was safe, Duan Rufeng sighed in relief. Casting a nonchalant glance at Zhang Wei and the others, the skinny old man asked Duan Rufeng politely, Lord Mansion Master, they just do as you like. Duan Rufeng replied indifferently before saying, let's go to the Dragon Clan. The moment his words left his mouth, he left as though he had vanished without a trace in front of Zhang Wei and the others' eyes. His speed was so fast that it made their blood curdle. However, when they saw Ku Mi looking at them sinisterly, horror dawned on their faces as they said in terror, Lord, please forgive us. Please spare our lives. It's us who failed to recognize young Mansion Master and offended him. Please spare our lives seeing as we didn't harm young Master. Lord, we're willing to help look for young Mansion Master. Sensing the murderous intent oozing out of Ku Mi's body, Zhang Wei and the others pleaded for their lives one after another. At this moment, the so-called dignity of a saint stage powerhouse had already long been thrown to back of their minds. To them, it was no longer important in the face of their lives. Only being alive was important. If they died, everything else would be useless. As saint stage powerhouses, they knew how difficult the journey to make it to where they were was. They would die in regret if they had died here. How noisy, Ku Mi snapped coldly. Although it seemed like he did not make a move, the dried branches that grew within the 100-meter radius rushed toward Zhang Wei and the others like pythons. After a while, they were turned into bloody pulps. They died in the most horrible manner. At the same time, Ku Mi caught up to Duan Rufeng. After he left, the sky in the 100-meter radius began to lighten as the darkness faded away. The dried branches in the dark night disappeared as well. Zhang Wei, the sect leader of Moon Illumination sect and the Supreme Elders had also completely vanished from the world. Naturally, nobody in the sect noticed this for a period of time. It was only after some time that the sect's people discovered their sect leader and Supreme Elders had all vanished without a trace. Without a doubt, the Moon Illumination sect that no longer had any saint stage powerhouses as their support had also begun to decline, no longer able to regain their past glory. This took place much later on in the story. At the south of Windfall Nation, a travel-weary figure emerged near the frontier of the vast desert. This is Windfall Nation. This person was none other than Duan Ling Tien who had come from the 9 sect alliances, district and crossed the vast desert to come to Windfall Nation. Hovering in the sky above the frontier of Windfall Nation, Duan Ling Tien narrowed his eyes and looked ahead. The oasis that appeared in his eyes was like 2 different worlds compared to the desert behind him. I'll continue to walk and ask for direction from a passerby to the capital of Windfall Nation, Duan Ling Tien thought to himself. Chapter 1562. However, the journey of crossing the vast desert without sleep nor rest had taken quite a toll on Duan Lingtian, not physically but mentally. Duan Lingtian first went to look for a place to rest for the time being before he looked for a passerby to ask for directions. After resting for a night, he continued his journey the next morning and headed north. Finally, after heading north for an hour, he saw an inconspicuous little village ahead. From afar, he could see smoke coming out from the kitchen chimneys. The little village sitting on the vast grassland was like perfect scenery in Duan Lingtian's eyes. He descended from the sky when he arrived close to the little village. Before he entered the village, he saw two figures quickly coming out to block his way. "Who are you?" The people who were blocking Duan Lingtian's way were two sturdy middle-aged men who seemed strong and valiant. They stared at Duan Lingtian guardedly since he had come unannounced. "Don't worry, I'm just a mere passerby wanting to ask for directions," Duan Lingtian replied with a forced smile on his face. At the same time, he secretly activated his divine eye to probe the two middle-aged men's cultivation. Both of them were paramount mortal shedding stage martial cultivators. Duan Lingtian was also greatly surprised that there were paramount mortal shedding stage martial cultivators in such a little village. In the Dao martial saint land, a ninth-rate force would usually only have a paramount mortal shedding stage martial cultivator guarding it at the most. However, Duan Lingtian had felt the heaven and earth spirit energy had gotten denser when he approached the village. It was obvious there was a saint stone reserve hidden underground. With Duan Lingtian's current cultivation base, it was easy for him to tell it was a ninth-rate saint stone reserve. As expected of the Windfall Nation, just a little frontier village is comparable to a ninth-rate force, Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he sighed emotionally. When the two middle-aged men heard Duan Lingtian's words, their expression eased up a lot, but they still asked guardedly, "Where do you want to go?" "The capital," Duan Lingtian answered. "The capital." When the two middle-aged men heard his words, they were taken back. In fact, not all martial and Dao cultivators dared to go to the capital through their village. This was the frontier of Windfall Nation. It was a long journey to the capital from here to the capital. Usually, people would not dare to go to the capital alone unless they possessed a certain level of strength. After all, who knew if they would be killed by bandits during the journey? "Yes." Duan Lingtian nodded and smiled as he asked, "Can either of you please give me the directions there?" This was an easy task for the two middle-aged men. They quickly pointed in the northeast direction. "Thank you." Duan Lingtian expressed his gratitude with a smile as he prepared to leave. Suddenly, the sound of wind whistling reverberated in the distance menacingly, taking Duan Lingtian by surprise. Naturally, the two middle-aged men had not heard the noise yet. Duan Lingtian looked toward the source of the noise and saw a group of people in a mighty formation. With just a glance, he could see there were at least several dozens of people. All these people were led by a middle-aged man standing on a wild beast. The middle-aged man's face was half hidden by his curly beard. He looked awe-inspiring as he stood on the wild beast that looked like a gigantic lion. The person at the lead is at the intermediate Saint Rudiment stage while the wild beast is at the early Saint Rudiment stage. As for the several dozens of people behind him, the weakest ones are at the Mastery Mortal Shedding stage. They seem to be heading toward this village. I wonder who are these people? After activating his divine eye, Duan Lingtian immediately probed the cultivation base of this group of people. These people were nothing in his eyes. Due to this reason, he did not bother to avoid them at all. Moreover, it was apparent these people's destination was the village in front of him. Duan Lingtian was just passing through. It crossed his mind to not meddle in this matter. However, those two villagers did help him. It would not be nice if he had just left. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian discovered the two middle-aged men's expression had turned glum. "Haha, are the people of Kui village not coming out to welcome us?" The middle-aged man with a curly beard laughed loudly. The people he brought with him hovered in the sky outside of the village like a black cloud, blocking the sun that was shining on the vast land outside the village. Duan Lingtian was taken aback since he had initially thought they were bandits here to plunder the village. However, based on the tone of the middle-aged man with a curly beard, it seemed as though he was an acquaintance. "They're the bandit group at the southern frontier of Windfall Nation. They're comparable to an eighth-rate force. Once in a while, they'll come to our village and take a huge number of saint stones as protection fee," one of the middle-aged men told Duan Lingtian through voice transmission with a wry smile as though he understood Duan Lingtian's confusion. Duan Lingtian finally understood the situation. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to meddle at all. Even if this village was comparable to a ninth-rate force, since it was under the jurisdiction of Windfall Nation, it would be easily annihilated if it did not have any backing. It might be able to survive for a long time if it had the protection of a group of bandits comparable to an eighth-rate force. Duan Lingtian saw a group of people soaring up into the sky from the village. The person in the lead was a green-clad old man. The old man had a helpless look in his eyes, but he still tried with all his might to smile. "Third Chief, this is the protection fee from our Kui village for this year." The man behaved humbly in front of the middle-aged man with a curly beard. At the same time, he took out a spatial ring and passed it to the other party. After the middle-aged man with a curly beard took hold of the ring and inspected it, he chuckled immediately. "The amount is correct. See you next year, old man Kui." After saying that, the middle-aged man with a curly beard turned the wild beast beneath his feet around and prepared to lead the group of people away. As Duan Lingtian and the group of people from Kui village watched the middle-aged man with a curly beard and the others leave, one of the two old men behind the middle-aged man with a curly beard suddenly shifted his attention to Duan Lingtian. The old man's eyes lit up instantly. In the next instant, he saw the old man looked at the middle-aged man with a curly beard. Duan Lingtian instantly sensed the turn of events would not be good, and he frowned immediately. Meanwhile, the middle-aged man with a curly beard had turned the wild beast under his feet around again. His attention was focused on Duan Lingtian. "You're not from Kui village?" the middle-aged man with a curly beard asked in a deep voice. His eyes flashed like a bolt of lightning as he stared at Duan Lingtian. At the same time, the group of bandits behind the middle-aged man with a curly beard and villagers from Kui village all shifted their attention to Duan Lingtian. The village head of Kui village, that green-clad old man, frowned immediately. Duan Lingtian opened his mouth. He was about to say he was indeed not from Kui village when someone interrupted him. When the village head of Kui village learned from the village's two middle-aged men that Duan Lingtian was just a passerby asking for directions, a sense of compassion washed over him, and he instantly said, "Third Chief, he's also from our Kui village, it's just that he rarely comes out." At the same time, the village head of Kui village's voice also entered Duan Lingtian's ears. "Young man, they're not to be trifled with. It's better for you if you pretend to be from the village." When Duan Lingtian heard his words, his heart felt warm even though he was not afraid of the bandits at all. He closed his mouth. He did not plan to refute the village head's words. After all, the village head did this out of kindness. "Old man Kui, do you really think that I, third brother Dang, is blind? Do you think your Kui village has such a young man with such a temperament?" the middle-aged man with a curly beard asked. When the village head of Kui village heard the words of the middle-aged man with a curly beard, he was instantly rendered speechless. At the same time, he studied Duan Lingtian from the corner of his eyes. With just a glance, he noticed Duan Lingtian had an extraordinary bearing. One could easily tell he was not from a little village. "Old man Kui, I'll pretend I didn't hear your earlier words, so I'll ask you again. Is he from your Kui village? Let me remind you to think this through before you answer me. You know the consequences of lying to me." The middle-aged man with a curly beard smirked. Cold sweat immediately broke out on the village head's forehead. He could only look at Duan Lingtian guiltily. Now that things had progressed to this stage, it was only natural he no longer dared to help Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian smiled appreciatively at the village head of Kui village before he turned to look at the middle-aged man with a curly beard. He said nonchalantly, "You have good judgment. I'm indeed not from Kui village. I merely stopped at Kui village to ask for directions." "No wonder. I was wondering how's it possible for Kui village to have someone with your bearing." The middle-aged man with a curly beard had an, as of expected, expression on his face when he looked at Duan Lingtian as he said, "My mood is good today, and I don't want to see any blood spilled. So just hand over your spatial ring and scram. Your mood is good, you don't want to see any blood spilled." When Duan Lingtian heard the words of the middle-aged man with a curly beard, he chuckled. "Based on your words, it seems like you think you have the upper hand." As soon as he finished speaking, he did not wait for the middle-aged man with a curly beard's reply and flew out immediately. His speed was not fast, he maintained it at the speed of an early Saint Rudiment stage powerhouse. However, even with such a speed, the middle-aged man with a curly beard and his group of bandits were still taken by surprise. When they regained their senses, Duan Lingtian had already flown quite far away. Duan Lingtian was headed northeast, the direction of Windfall Nation. You really do not appreciate favors at all. When the middle-aged man with a curly beard regained his senses, his expression darkened immediately as killing intent gleamed in his eyes. He immediately prompted the wild beast beneath his feet to chase after Duan Ling Tian. The group of bandits followed behind him in a mighty formation. That young man is doomed now. When the villagers from Kui village saw this, all of them sighed. They could see the young man's speed was not too fast. At the very least, it seemed as though he did not have any advantage at all against the middle-aged man with a curly beard. He's too young and rash, so what if he hands over his spatial ring? Don't tell me that material items are more important than his own life. The village head of Kui village sighed deeply. He had advised the young man earlier, but the young man did not heed his advice at all, causing him to feel helpless. Chapter 1563. When third brother Deng turned around to pursue Duan Ling Tian, he originally planned to leave the wild beast behind and pursue Duan Ling Tian on his own. After all, the wild beast beneath his feet was merely an early Saint Rudiment stage wild beast, and its speed was on par with Duan Ling Tian, so it would be difficult for it to catch up to Duan Ling Tian. He, on the other hand, was an intermediate Saint Rudiment stage martial cultivator. It would be very easy for him to catch up to an early Saint Rudiment stage martial cultivator. It was apparent the speed that Duan Ling Tian was currently displaying made him think Duan Ling Tian was merely an early Saint Rudiment stage martial cultivator. Oh, soon after, third brother Deng gave up on the idea of pursuing Duan Ling Tian when he saw him come to halt after he had flown a distance away, as though he was waiting for the group of people behind him to catch up to him. At this instant, an ominous feeling rose up in his heart. He even had the urge to leave immediately. However, the moment he recalled there were so many of his subordinates watching from behind, he clenched his teeth and continued the chase. I'll just kill this early Saint Rudiment stage martial cultivator. In this secluded area where no one would be able to help him, even if he has an extraordinary background, who would know that it's me, third brother Deng, who killed him, right? He instantly made up his mind when he thought of this. Soon after, third brother Deng brought the group of bandits to surround Duan Ling Tian. What? You've finally given up and decided to hand over your spatial ring? Third brother Deng smirked as he looked at Duan Ling Tian. I'll give you another chance. Hand over your spatial ring, and I'll spare your life. When the two men following behind him heard his words, they could not help but feel shocked. In fact, this was not their first time encountering a situation like this. Usually, their third chief would instantly kill the person if they had tried to flee. However, he actually gave the young man a second chance this time. Perhaps the third chief saw how he took the initiative to stop and finds it forgivable. The two old men exchanged glances with each other, and both of them could see similar emotions in each other's eyes. However, how could they possibly know hints of dread had already risen in third brother Deng's heart because of this young man? What if I refuse? From the beginning until the end, Duan Ling Tian's expression was calm, as though he would not even bat an eyelid if a mountain collapsed. Upon hearing Duan Ling Tian's words, third brother Deng's face changed immediately. Boy, you're seeking death. Third chief, kill him. Slaughter him, At this moment, the several dozens of bandits whom third brother Deng brought with him were shouting angrily one after another. If it was not because third brother Deng did not give them an order yet, they would have long charged forth and torn this young man who did not appreciate their favor into pieces. At this moment, third brother Deng found it hard to back down after listening to his subordinate's words. He immediately shouted, "Kill him! Kill, kill!" At this moment, apart from third brother Deng, the wild beast beneath his feet, and the two old men behind him, the other bandits charged toward Duan Ling Tian as though they intended to tear him into 1,000 pieces. On the other hand, Duan Ling Tian, who was surrounded, merely had a disdainful smile on his face. Duan Ling Tian stood at the center as he watched several dozens of bandits approaching him. Suddenly, the area in the sky within a 100-meter radius began to tremble. In the next instant, solidified sword rays that were similar to real swords appeared out of thin air. With just a glance, it seemed as though the swords numbered in tens of thousands. Territory. At this moment, third brother Deng and the old men behind him finally realized what was happening. Horror dawned on their faces when they realized they had kicked a huge boulder. What a joke! Only a powerhouse who had mastered the true energy consolidated territory could cast territory. A powerhouse who had mastered the true energy consolidated territory was also someone at the paramount Saint Rudiment stage. Let alone them, even the great chief of their bandit group was only a perfection Saint Rudiment stage martial cultivator. That was still quite a distance away from entering the Paramount Saint Rudiment stage. Even their great chief would have to bend and bow in front of a Paramount Saint Rudiment stage powerhouse. However, they actually dared to pursue a Paramount Saint Rudiment stage powerhouse. Third Brother Dang and the two old men were horrified. Several dozens of the tens of thousands of swords streaked across the sky like meteors. Each of the sword rays took away the life of a bandit. Among the bandits, the strongest one was merely an early Saint Rudiment stage martial cultivator. In front of Duan Ling Tian's thousand swords territory, they were just like meat on Duan Ling Tian's chopping board. In just an instant, apart from Third Brother Dang, the wild beast beneath his feet, and the two old men behind him, all the other bandits were killed when the sword rays pierced their hearts. Their bodies dropped down one by one like flies and smashed on the ground into a bloody mess. At this moment, Third Brother Dang finally returned to his senses. "My lord, it's me, Third Brother Dang, who didn't recognize what kind of person you are. It's me who underestimated you." After Third Brother Dang realized what was happening, his face turned pale. He took the initiative to beat himself as he punched his own ears. Right now, he only had one thought left in his mind. He hoped that the powerhouse before him would spare his life. In front of this person, there was no thought of resisting at all since he knew it would be futile even if he had resisted. Naturally, he felt dissatisfied in his heart. Duan Ling Tian, an almighty Paramount Saint Rudiment stage martial cultivator, had intentionally displayed the speed of an early Saint Rudiment stage powerhouse to act like a swine to eat the tiger. Was he not just digging a grave for them jump into? If Duan Ling Tian had revealed his speed as a Paramount Saint Rudiment stage powerhouse when he left, they would not have dared to chase after him. Even if they wanted to chase after him, they would not have been able to. "Spare my life, Lord! Spare my life, Lord!" Meanwhile, the two old men behind Third Brother Dang had instantly kneeled in midair and bowed as they begged for mercy from Duan Ling Tian. They were so frightened that their voices trembled when they spoke. At this moment, their thoughts were similar to Third Brother Dang. Although the wild beast beneath Third Brother Dang's feet did not possess much intelligence, it instinctively sensed how terrifying Duan Ling Tian was and began to turn agitated. "If I'm really an early Saint Rudiment stage martial cultivator, and I refused to hand over my spatial ring, would you have spared my life?" Duan Ling Tian asked nonchalantly in the face of the three men who were begging. Naturally, he knew the answer to that even if they did not answer. Due to this reason, Duan Ling Tian did not wait for Third Brother Dang and the other two old men to reply. With just a thought, the sword rays in the 10,000 swords territory began to whistle again before they killed Third Brother Dang, the two old men, and the wild beast. No one was left alive at all. When he was about to leave Kui village earlier and learned that Third Brother Dang and the others were not there to kill the village people, he had no intention of meddling in the matter at all. Having to hand over some protection fee was just the law of survival for Kui village. Duan Ling Tian did not intend to destroy it. Although he had no intention of meddling, Third Brother Dang and the others had cast their covetous eyes at him. At that moment, he decided that he would not show them any mercy. However, in order to not involve Kui village, he purposely lured Third Brother Dang and the others far away from Kui village. Only after he came here did he make his move. "I'm getting skilled at the 10,000 swords territory." Under Duan Ling Tian's control, the area within a 100-meter radius around him had transformed into an ocean of swords. Tens of thousands of swords flew at the same time, appearing extremely magnificent. In the end, after taking all the bandits' spatial rings, Duan Ling Tian gathered the tens of thousands of swords and formed a flying sword underneath his feet. It carried him in the northeast direction quickly to the capital of Windfall Nation. While Duan Ling Tian made his journey to the capital, a sorrowful cry resonated in a mountain range not far away from Kui village. "Third brother." A sturdy white-haired man stared at the shattered soul pearl in front of him with tears in his eyes. A cold aura immediately emitted out of his body. "Big brother, what happened?" Soon after, a scholarly-looking middle-aged man appeared. When he saw the shattered soul pearl, he could not help but feel horrified as well. This is Third Brother's soul pearl. I don't care who he is, but I'll find whoever it is and avenge Third Brother." The old man's eyes were brimming with tears. His voice was filled with hatred and coldness. "I'll investigate this matter immediately." The middle-aged scholar's face was extremely pale. Although three of them were not blood brothers, their relationship was closer than that of blood brothers. The group of bandits found the bodies of Third Brother Dang and the others in just a short time because Duan Ling Tian did not destroy their bodies to get rid of the evidence. After that, the bandits carried the bodies back to their hideaway. Big brother, I've asked around in the few villages around the place where third brother died. According to them, third brother died when he was pursuing a young man. Not only was the middle-aged scholar the second chief of the group of bandits, but he was also the strategist and the brain of the bandit group. It did not take him long to find all these out. I've asked the people from Kui village. That young man had approached them to ask for directions to the capital. The capital. When the old man heard the middle-aged scholar's words, he clenched his teeth immediately. Then he shall die in the capital. Big brother, why you plan on going to the capital? The middle-aged scholar frowned. Big brother, based on the wounds on our brothers' bodies, all of them had died at almost the same moment. I'm afraid the young man's strength is not inferior to yours. I've also taken a look at the surroundings of the place where third brother died, and I couldn't find anything else. I suspect he had used territory. This means he might be a paramount Saint Rudiment stage powerhouse. For the sake of third brother, I must go to the capital. Before I left previously, the Fourth Imperial Highness made a promise to me saying if I have a favor to ask of him, he would not reject me if it's within his ability. Even a Saint stage powerhouse would still die if the Fourth Imperial Highness gives an order, let alone a paramount Saint Rudiment stage powerhouse like him. Tears filled his eyes. The old man looked as though he had already lost his mind. Second brother, go find the people of Kui village again. Draw a portrait according to their descriptions. Once the portrait is drawn, I'll make my way to the capital immediately. Big brother, I'll thank you on behalf of third brother. The middle-aged scholar bowed at the old man to express his gratitude. Chapter 1564. In Windfall Nation, the people bestowed with the title Imperial Highness were undoubtedly the princes of Windfall Nation's emperor. As a sixth-rate saint nation, the Windfall Nation, naturally, had very powerful backing. A seventh-rate force like the Moon Illumination sect could hardly compare to it. The Moon Illumination sect only had a few saint stage powerhouses, and they were the weakest kind of saint stage powerhouses. In a top sixth-rate force like Windfall Nation's imperial family, there were several dozens of saint stage powerhouses at the very least, and most of them were powerful saint stage powerhouses as well. Duan Lingtian did not destroy the bodies of the bandits and get rid of the evidence because he did not feel there was a need to. In Duan Lingtian's opinion, the group of bandits was just equivalent to an eighth-rate force. An eighth-rate force was not enough for him to take them seriously. Due to this reason, he was too lazy to spend more effort to destroy the bodies. However, it did not cross Duan Lingtian's mind that a mere great chief of an eighth-rate bandit group would actually have connections with a sixth-rate force, Windfall Nation's imperial family. If he had known about it, he would not have spared the efforts and would have destroyed the bodies. Everyone would make a mistake at some point in their lives. Duan Lingtian's mistake was underestimating his enemy. Naturally, Duan Lingtian was unaware of this as he made his way to the capital of Windfall Nation. With my speed, I should be able to reach the capital of Windfall Nation by tomorrow, Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he made his journey there on his flying sword. Almost at the same time, at the hideaway of the bandits Duan Lingtian had killed, the old man, also the great chief of the bandits, finally got his hands on Duan Lingtian's portrait and was about to make his way to the capital of Windfall Nation. Duan Lingtian would be surprised if he had seen the portrait since it resembled him by 90%. If one were to see the portrait and then see him, they would definitely be able to tell it was him. After a few days, the middle-aged scholar who was also the second chief had also calmed down a lot. Before the old man departed, he could not help but ask, Big brother, the promise that Fourth Imperial Highness made to you was in exchange for the remaining of your life. Do you really want to use it to avenge third brother? Second brother, don't say such words again next time. I don't like listening to them, the old man said in a deep voice. Big brother, if third brother finds out in the nether world that you're doing this, he would definitely be very happy, the middle-aged scholar said. So what if he's happy? He's already dead like an extinguished lamp. All right, that's enough. It's time for me to leave. The moment the old man's words left his mouth, he left. Watching the old man's disappearing silhouette until it completely vanished before his eyes, the middle-aged man finally returned to his senses. He muttered to himself, Big brother, if I was the one who died, would you also use the promise the Fourth Imperial Highness had given you to avenge me? He fell into a trance as he thought about this. At the capital of Windfall Nation. Although Duan Lingtian had seen the grandeur of the 9 sect alliances, Han River City, he was still stunned by the capital of Windfall Nation. Originally, in his opinion, the biggest city on Cloud Continent was just like a little village compared to Han River City. However, after he arrived at the capital of Windfall Nation, he gained a deeper understanding of the proverb, there would always be a higher mountain. Compared to Windfall Nation's capital, Han River City was just like a provincial little town. In regard to appearance or size, they could not be compared at all. When Duan Lingtian arrived in the capital of Windfall Nation, he kept a low profile and traveled by feet. Naturally, this was because he had no other choice other than to be humble. When he approached the capital of Windfall Nation, he realized they had a flight prohibition formation as well. This flight prohibition formation was almost similar to the one in Moon Illumination sect, just that the area it covered was more vast and setting it up was even more difficult. After Duan Lingtian arrived at the capital of Windfall Nation, the first thing he did was walked into a restaurant. Whether it was Cloud Continent or the Dao Martial Saint Land, the liveliest place and the place with the latest news were undoubtedly restaurants. He did not blindly come to the capital of Windfall Nation, he had come with a purpose. First, he wanted to see if Bai Li Hong had brought Feng Wudao and the others to Windfall Nation. Second, he wanted to see if he could get some information about Shui Nai's background. This Shui Nai is really, why didn't she tell me the name of her sect? Now that I want to find her, I don't even know from where to begin. Duan Lingtian sighed. The clues he could glean from Shui Nai were about those 5th grade and 4th grade saint stones and that her surname was Han. Duan Lingtian wanted to look for Shui Nai not because he wanted support, although he could tell that she did not have as simple a background as it seemed. His purpose was to find his fiancée, Li Fei. As I suspected earlier, the sect behind Shui Nai must be a 5th-rate force or clan. After putting everything he knew together, Duan Lingtian speculated on his own, Han clan. A family with the surname Han, I'll ask around in Windfall Nation. As time went by, the dishes Duan Lingtian had ordered were also sent to his table. At the same time, the number of people in the restaurant had also increased. Naturally, the restaurant was bustling now that there were more people. At this time, Duan Lingtian had also heard of many rumors. All of them were mostly about some good-for-nothing rich kids of some families in the capital of Windfall Nation. However, during this time, Duan Lingtian was inwardly surprised as well. From what he could glean from the conversations around him, some of the clans in Windfall Nation's capital had strength on par with a 7th-rate force. These clans mostly had several saint-stage powerhouses guarding them. The strength of these clans in the capital of Windfall Nation is not inferior to the Moon Illumination sect. At this moment, Duan Lingtian realized his perspective had broadened again. Previously, when he was in the 9 sect alliances, the Moon Illumination sect might not be the strongest sect, but it was still a force to be reckoned with. However, the moment he reached the capital of Windfall Nation, he finally realized the Moon Illumination sect was nothing here. Just from the clans he heard the others mentioned earlier, there were already 3 clans whose strength was on par with the Moon Illumination sect. Moreover, in Windfall Nation, apart from the capital, it was apparent there were also many 6th-rate forces. Now that he was comparing the both of them, Duan Lingtian suddenly realized how small the 9 sect alliances was. He felt he made the right choice coming here. Have you heard? The condition of the great young master from Situ clan seems to be getting worse. Apparently, he won't be able to live until the end of this month. A middle-aged man sitting at a table near Duan Lingtian told the other middle-aged sitting at the same table. He had deliberately lowered his voice as though he was afraid someone would overhear him. If Duan Lingtian did not open the saint veins connected to both his ears, he would not have been able to hear it even though his cultivation base was at the paramount saint rudiment stage. However, Duan Lingtian could hear him very clearly right now. Situ clan. Duan Lingtian's heart jolted. He learned more about the Situ clan from the conversations of the customers in the restaurant. The Situ clan could be considered as a huge clan that ranked in the top in the capital of Windfall Nation. Moreover, it was related to the Windfall Nation's imperial family in innumerable ways. It was said that the younger sister of the current clan leader of Situ clan was the highest-ranking imperial concubine and most loved imperial concubine of the current emperor of Windfall Nation. The other man also deliberately lowered his voice as he asked, Situ clan's great young master. The one who's rumored to be bewitched previously. That's right. That's him. The former nodded. Actually, he's pretty unlucky. Not long after His Majesty bestowed a saint weapon carved with a 4-star saint inscription to him, he was bewitched. I think he just doesn't have the fate to enjoy the gift His Majesty had bestowed him. How strange, there are so many saint inscription masters who excel in refining pills in the imperial family, but none of them knows what's wrong with him, the latter said. I heard that those saint inscription masters who excel in refining pills from the imperial family have checked his body before and confirmed there's nothing wrong with his body. They couldn't find any abnormalities at all, the former replied again. Then I guess it must be God's punishment. However, I heard the great young master of Satu clan is very nice. He's different from those good-for-nothing rich kids, so why is God punishing him? As the saying goes, nice guys finish. What a pity. I heard the clan leader of Satu clan has just offered a reward. Whoever manages to treat great young master Satu will be rewarded with a 4-star divine strider talisman and a 4-star golden energy talisman. Even if he's able to take out a 4-star offensive Dao talisman, I don't think anybody will be able to treat great young master Satu. That's true. Put everything else aside. Ever since great young master Satu was bewitched, there's a black mark that resembles a spider in between his brows. Until now, nobody is able to recognize what it is. Every word exchanged between the two middle-aged men entered Duan Lingtian's ears. A black mark that resembles a spider. When Duan Lingtian heard the two men's words, he raised his eyebrows immediately when some information popped up in his mind. It was the information recorded in the saint token that contained the strange inscription art given to him by his senior brother, Bai Li Hong. See, could it be the devil inscription? Duan Lingtian was taken aback. The devil inscription was also a type of the saint inscription. It was extremely rare. In the Dao martial saint land, usually, only devil cultivators who were also saint inscription masters could master the devil inscription. The price was extremely high as well. Moreover, it was so rare that very few people in the Dao martial saint land knew about it. Besides, the requirement to inscribe a devil inscription was also exceptionally high. The most important thing was, the devil inscription was unlike normal saint inscriptions. If one really wanted to categorize it, it would fall under the malignant category. It was a kind of saint inscription used to harm someone. Previously, they said the great young master of Satu clan has been bestowed a saint weapon from the Windfall Nation's emperor before he met with this unfortunate incident. Besides, it's a saint weapon carved with a 4-star saint inscription. Don't tell me the Windfall Nation's emperor wants him dead. When Duan Lingtian thought of this, he shook his head again. He did not think it was possible. Since the sister of the clan leader of Satu clan was an imperial concubine, then the Satu clan's great young master was the nephew of Windfall Nation's emperor. There was no reason for the emperor to harm him. Chapter 1565. Although Duan Lingtian had such thoughts in his mind, he was not certain of it. In this world that followed the law of the jungle, there were even fathers and sons who fell out and became enemies, let alone just a mere nephew. However, the clan leader of Satu clan is quite generous. A 4-star divine strider talisman and a 4-star golden energy talisman. Even I can't help but feel tempted. Indeed, Duan Lingtian was very tempted. A 3-star divine strider talisman granted its user the speed of a paramount saint rudiment stage powerhouse for 15 minutes. A 3-star golden energy talisman granted its user the defense of a paramount saint rudiment stage powerhouse for 15 minutes. If the 4-star divine strider talisman and golden energy talisman were used, they would undoubtedly grant its user speed and defense equivalent to a saint stage powerhouse. Although Duan Lingtian was quite powerful now, he would only be able to kill the weakest saint stage powerhouse if he used the Jasper Celestial Sword. Moreover, he had to pay a hefty price. It was similar to inflicting 1000 damage points to the enemy and 800 damage points to himself. As for speed, even if he unleashed his fastest speed with the help of the flying sword from the Thousand Sword territory, he could only catch up to the weakest saint stage powerhouse. It was still far cry from a true saint stage powerhouse. I've just arrived at the capital of Windfall Nation and completely unfamiliar with the people in the place. Perhaps this would be a great chance for me to temporarily stabilize my position in the capital of Windfall Nation. When Duan Lingtian thought of this, he was even more tempted. He had just arrived in the capital of Windfall Nation. Whether it was finding Bai Li Hong or inquiring about the force behind Shui Nai, he would undoubtedly need connections to do that. Currently, he had no connections at all. This incident of the great young master of Satu clan being bewitched was a great opportunity for Duan Lingtian. Currently, Duan Lingtian was 80% certain the great young master of Satu clan was cursed using the devil inscription. It explained the bewitched symptoms that he currently exhibited. The devil inscription was explained in the jade token that contained the saint inscription. It also explained how one could break the inscription. Moreover, based on the two middle-aged men's words, it seemed like the devil inscription that was placed on the great young master of Situ clan was not a powerful one. Although it was not a powerful devil inscription, a 9-star saint inscription master still would not be able to break it if he did not know the method. A black mark that resembles a spider. Could it be the aphotic spider devil inscription? Duan Ling Tian mumbled to himself. In the jade token containing the saint inscription, it had explained some of the commonly found devil inscriptions and the way to break it. The aphotic spider devil inscription was one of the inscriptions mentioned. It was a 1-star devil inscription, the simplest and easiest kind of devil inscription. Duan Ling Tian had mastered the strange inscription art. Otherwise, he would not be able to read the information stored in the later part of the jade token. He would not have known about the existence of devil inscriptions if this was not the case. Duan Ling Tian was almost certain Bai Li Hong did not know about the devil inscriptions even though he had also read the information stored in the jade token. This was because the information regarding the devil inscriptions was inconspicuous among the various information stored in the jade token. If one could not master the strange inscription art stored in the earlier part, one, naturally, would not read the information at the end since it would just be a waste of time. If it was not for the fact that Duan Ling Tian had mastered the strange inscription art, he was very certain he would have missed the information about the devil inscriptions in the later part. After eating and paying the bill, Duan Ling Tian walked out of the restaurant as he formulated a plan in his heart. I'll just make a trip to the Situ clan and take a look. However, if I ascertain that the Emperor of Windfall Nation is the one who wants to kill the great young master of Situ clan, it's better for me not to dip my feet in this pool of murky water. I've only just arrived in the capital of Windfall Nation. If I offend the Emperor before getting a chance to do what I came here for, it won't be good for me. After asking about the location of Situ clan, Duan Ling Tian immediately made his way there. As one of the great clans that was only inferior to Windfall Nation, the Situ clan's mansion was extremely magnificent and big. It was not much smaller than the Moon Illumination Sex Estate. In fact, the Moon Illumination Sex Estate was located at a barren mountain. The Situ clan mansion, on the other hand, was located at a prime area in the capital of Windfall Nation. There was a 6th-rate Saint Stone Reserve that the Windfall Nation's imperial family controlled. It was located under the Imperial Palace of Windfall Nation. There was also a 7th-grade Saint Stone Reserve under the Situ clan's mansion. Apart from that, the cultivation environment in Windfall Nation was generally good. Due to these reasons, the cultivation environment in the Situ clan's mansion was far better than the Moon Illumination sect. At the great entrance of the Situ clan, after a group of Situ clan's guards learned of the intention of Duan Ling Tian's visit, one of them quickly went in to report it. Soon after, an old man appeared. The Situ clan's guard who had gone in to make a report was following him from behind. The old man's appearance was ordinary. However, his eyes gleamed intelligently. With just a glance, one could tell his was not a simple person. Are you confident? When the old man came out, he did not say much. He only stared at Duan Ling Tian as though trying to ascertain how confident Duan Ling Tian was. When Duan Ling Tian heard the old man's words, his expression remained unchanged, and his eyes did not waver. He replied nonchalantly, instead of asking me whether I have the confidence or not, why don't you bring me in so I can take a look at your great young master? Right now, don't you think you should treat a dead horse as if it's still alive? When Duan Ling Tian's words left his mouth, the old man's face turned grave immediately. You actually compared my clan's young master to a horse. At once, the group of Situ clan's guards also glared at Duan Ling Tian in hostility as though they would attack him as soon as the old man gave them his order. Looks like your Situ clan does not feel that this matter is urgent. In that case, all right, just pretend that I didn't come. Shaking his head, Duan Ling Tian turned around and prepared to leave. However, the moment Duan Ling Tian turned around, the old man blocked his way and said coldly, do you think you can do that after insulting our young master? Do you really think our Situ clan is useless? Scram! Duan Ling Tian spat out a word unhurriedly as he frowned. At the moment when Duan Ling Tian thought the man was going to turn hostile and attack, a surprising scene took place. Please, not only did the old man not attack, but he actually stepped aside and respectfully invited Duan Ling Tian into the Situ clan's mansion. This stunned Duan Ling Tian a little. Could it be that Situ clan's members were actually masochists? They would only like it if he used force. Master, I'm sorry for being disrespectful earlier. I only wanted to make sure you're truly competent. After all, our young master is currently in a dire situation. He can no longer endure any more injury, the old man explained as his eyes turned dimmed, and he sighed. Have you ascertained if I'm competent or not? Duan Lingtian looked at the old man with a faint smile. Based on your confidence alone, it's enough for me to invite master in to try. Just like you said, our young master's situation now should be treated as though the dead horse is still alive, the old man continued to say. When Duan Lingtian heard his words, he found it funny in his heart. The grave expression on his face disappeared, and he said, please lead the way. As the saying went, it's difficult to slap a smiling face. Since the other party was being sincere now, it would not do for him to just leave at this moment. Moreover, since he intended to stabilize his position in the capital of Windfall Nation, Situ clan was his best option. After entering the Situ clan, the scene that greeted him made his eyes light up immediately. As expected of a great clan in the capital of Windfall Nation. The decorations in the mansion's front courtyard were indeed eye-opening. At the very least, all the decorations that Duan Lingtian had seen before could not compare to the Situ clan at all. During the journey, Duan Lingtian also learned about the old man's identity. The old man was the outer mansion's manager for the Situ clan. Although the old man brought him into the Situ clan, Duan Lingtian could see the old man did not hold great hope of him curing the great young master of Situ clan. It felt more like a formality. As for what had happened earlier outside the mansion, Duan Lingtian guessed it was a test set up by the Situ clan. Those who were not confident had no need to come in to try at all. This was Situ clan's attitude. Under the old man's guidance, Duan Lingtian walked across the Situ clan's front courtyard into a very long corridor before finally coming to a halt at the end of the corridor in front of a huge door. In front of the huge door, both Duan Lingtian and the old man's way was blocked. As expected of a great clan of Windfall Nation, the security is really tight, Duan Lingtian muttered to himself. In fact, the person who brought him was the manager of the front courtyard. Even he was so mercilessly blocked. This doctor is here to take a look at great young master's sickness. Send a man out, and bring him to see Manager Fu. At this moment, the old man entrusted Duan Lingtian to the Situ clan's disciples who were guarding the huge door in the inner mansion. After that, he turned to say to Duan Lingtian, Master, after you enter this door, you'll arrive at the inner mansion of our Situ clan, they'll send a man out to bring you to Manager Fu, the inner mansion's manager of Situ clan. Manager Fu will then bring you to the great young master. All right, Duan Lingtian nodded before he entered the inner mansion, following the lead of a Situ clan's disciple. After entering the inner mansion, Duan Lingtian had another eye-opening experience. Compared to the front courtyard or even the entire outer mansion, the decoration of the inner mansion was even more beautiful and magnificent. It exuded a relaxing and refreshing vibe. Soon after, Duan Lingtian met Manager Fu, the inner mansion's manager. This Manager Fu was a beautiful woman who appeared to be in her 30s or 40s. Although she was not as beautiful as his two fiancés, the imperceptible and fascinating charm radiating from her curvaceous figure made people unconsciously attracted to her. After learning about Duan Lingtian's intention, the beautiful woman studied Duan Lingtian with a slight frown. Although one could not judge a person by their age in the Dao Martial Saint land, Duan Lingtian's youth and good looks made him appear unreliable. Duan Lingtian, naturally, noticed the woman's reaction, and he could guess what she was thinking. However, he was not bothered and merely smiled. Follow me. The beautiful woman motioned indifferently before she led the way. Duan Lingtian could not help but steal a few glances at her swaying curvaceous figure. It was not that he was a lecherous man, but this was just a man's instinct. While they were walking, the beautiful woman asked nonchalantly, How many stars Saint Inscription Master are you? I'm not a Saint Inscription Master. Duan Lingtian shook his head in response. His response instantly made the beautiful woman stop in her tracks. Turning around, she glared at him in annoyance. You're not a Saint Inscription Master. Then what are you here for? Chapter 1566. Don't tell me your Situ clan has a rule stating only Saint Inscription Masters can come. If that's the case, I'll leave immediately, Duan Lingtian said indifferently with an I could not care less expression in the face of the woman whose face had turned grave. When the beautiful woman heard this, her face eased up a little before she looked at Duan Lingtian again. Without saying another word, she continued to lead the way. Although she did not know where this young man got his confidence from, she did not ask him to leave. Since he was already here, she might as well let him try. She would be neglecting her duty if she had chased him away. Under the beautiful woman's guidance, Duan Lingtian soon arrived at a spacious courtyard inside the Situ clan's spacious mansion. "I'll go in first to inform them of your arrival," the beautiful woman told Duan Lingtian and went into a big courtyard without waiting for Duan Lingtian's reply. As Duan Lingtian stood by the door, his eyes gleamed brightly. The inner mansion's manager of Situ clan is not simple as well, her cultivation base is at the Paramount Saint rudiment stage. The vibe she gives me is no different from the vice sect leaders of the Moon Illumination sect. She must already be at the imminent saint stage. If it was before, Duan Lingtian would be a little more cautious knowing the beautiful woman was at the imminent saint stage. However, currently, he felt indifferent. With his current strength, he was confident nobody under the saint stage was a match for him even if he did not use the Jasper Celestial Sword. Soon after, the beautiful lady came out again with an old man. The old man had a full head of white hair and was dressed in a clean and neat white robe. He appeared elegant and graceful. Every step he took looked extremely natural in Duan Lingtian's eyes. To a certain extent, he even felt a little pressured by the old man. Saint Stage Powerhouse. When Duan Lingtian saw how respectful and humble the beautiful woman was to the old man, coupled with the pressure he felt, it was not difficult for him to figure out the old man's strength. He could not help but feel slightly surprised. This place seemed like the residence of the great young master of the Situ clan. Why was a saint stage powerhouse here? In a seventh-rate force like Situ clan, they would usually have a few saint stage powerhouses at most. It was only natural for Duan Lingtian to be surprised at the presence of one here. "This is Elder Hu," the beautiful woman said to Duan Lingtian as soon as the old man appeared. "Elder Hu," Duan Lingtian nodded his head at the old man as a form of greeting. Before the old man could respond, the beautiful woman reminded Duan Lingtian through voice transmission, a hint of annoyance could be heard in her voice. "Elder Hu is the supreme elder of Situ clan, so please have more respect." "Manager Fu, don't you think you're being a little controlling? The purpose of my visit is to do Situ clan a favor. So what if Elder Hu is your clan's supreme elder? Don't tell me you expect me to bow and kneel," Duan Ling said loudly and bluntly without any restraint as he glanced at the woman indifferently. It was apparent the beautiful woman did not expect Duan Lingtian to say such words out loud. Her face immediately darkened as her eyes flashed coldly. "What, did I say something wrong?" Duan Lingtian smirked. From the moment Duan Lingtian entered the Situ clan, he had already made up his mind to stabilize his position in Windfall Nation through the Situ clan. In order to be regarded as important, he must maintain his dignity. With his strength and the help he had, he indeed had the qualification to act in such a way in front of a clan like the Situ clan. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian no longer spared a glance for the beautiful woman. Instead, he was looking at the old man before him. He noticed an inexplicable smile had crept up onto the corner of the old man's mouth. He had no idea why, but he instantly became guarded as soon as he saw the smile. Boom! At this moment, the earth began to quake accompanied by the sound of an explosion. Duan Lingtian felt a strong wind sweeping toward him. It was blowing so strongly that there was a sound of wailing. A fragrance accompanied the strong wind. This fragrance was not unfamiliar to Duan Lingtian. It came from Manager Fu, the inner mansion's manager, the beautiful woman following behind the old man. Manager Fu's sudden move was completely out of Duan Lingtian's expectation. However, Duan Lingtian was not a weak person. In the face of Manager Fu's sudden attack, his right arm twitched a little before he unleashed his brute strength. When the true energy went through the 99 saint veins into his fist, his mighty fist punched out to meet Manager Fu's delicate palm that she had thrust out in order to gain the upper hand. The delicate thrust of palm charged toward him abruptly as though it had transformed into a gigantic cattail leaf fan. She had wanted to send Duan Lingtian flying with a thrust of her palm. The iron fist sparred with his opponent, defending more than attacking. It met the beautiful woman's palm fearlessly. At that instant, the fist and palm collided. Bang! Another thunderous explosion reverberated in the air. Duan Lingtian and Manager Fu finally engaged with each other. Their fight did not involve the use of techniques from Saint-grade martial tactics, True Energy Consolidated Weapon, True Energy Consolidated Beast, True Energy Consolidated Territory or even Saint Weapon. They battled using only their true energies. Naturally, in Duan Lingtian's case, it was not just true energy. After making a breakthrough to the Paramount Saint rudiment stage, his physical body had once again transformed, and the energy he possessed now was even more terrifying than before. Due to the fact that he had only broken through to the Paramount Saint Rudiment stage not too long ago, he did not have any advantage in regard to true energy. Although he had 99 Saint Veins to carry his true energy, he was defending more than attacking. This was because before he had a chance to make a move, Manager Fu had already gathered her true energy in her palm and did not show any mercy at all in her storm-like attack. Due to this reason, his 99 Saint Veins did not give him any advantage at all. As airwaves swept out tyrannically from the place where they collided, Duan Lingtian's expression remained unchanged as he stood rooted to the same spot. It was as though he was an unmovable mountain, not even moving an inch. On the other hand, Manager Fu, who had originally looked confident, had lost her confidence. In the next moment, she was sent flying. She only managed to come to a stop after flying several meters away, looking wretched. In fact, Duan Lingtian had shown some mercy. Otherwise, she would be in an even more wretched state. Can I go in now? After defeating Manager Fu, Duan Lingtian did not even look at her. Instead, he looked at the old man, Situ Hu, the supreme elder of the clan, who was standing not far away from the beginning until the end. He did not even have to guess to know it was the old man who had asked Manager Fu to attack. Otherwise, she would not have dared to act so recklessly in front of the old man. Of course, when Situ Hu heard Duan Lingtian's words, he nodded as though he was not aware he had been seen through. When Duan Lingtian heard his words, he instantly strode into the huge courtyard. Situ Hu followed him. At the same time, he cast a side glance at Manager Fu, who looked pale. "This has nothing to do with you anymore." "All right," she responded politely. However, before she left, she could not help but turn to look at Duan Lingtian's silhouette. A hint of dread and disbelief flashed in her eyes. "I'm certain he's not a saint stage powerhouse, but he's obviously more powerful than me. Could it be he's a heaven rankings powerhouse?" The moment Manager Fu thought of this, her eyes lit up immediately. The heaven ranking was a valuable ranking in the Dao Martial Saint land. It was usually created by a fifth-rate force. In other words, the heaven ranking covered an entire piece of land. To be more precise, it covered all the powerhouses at the peak of the Saint Rudiment stage that was on a piece of land. There were 100 people in the heaven ranking. All of them were strong powerhouses at the peak of the Saint Rudiment stage and were merely a step away from entering the Saint stage. It was said that the weakest person in the heaven ranking possessed the strength to fight against 3 ordinary imminent Saint stage powerhouses at the same time. If Duan Lingtian learned about the existence of the heaven ranking, he would definitely be astonished since it was similar to the Earth ranking in the 9 sect alliances. The difference was the Earth ranking were rankings of powerhouses at the peak of the mortal shedding stage, while the heaven ranking were rankings of powerhouses at the peak of the Saint Rudiment stage. In truth, the Earth ranking was an imitation of the heaven ranking. In the Dao Martial Saint land, there were numerous places similar to the 9 sect alliances, district. As for fifth-rate forces, although there were many of them in the Dao Martial Saint land, there were only about several dozens of them. Even if every fifth-rate force had their own heaven ranking, there were only several dozens of heaven rankings in the Dao Martial Saint land. Based on this, one could see how important the heaven ranking was. All of the powerhouses ranked in the heaven ranking were the best at the Saint Rudiment stage. It was precisely because of this Manager Fu's attitude changed completely when she suspected that Duan Lingtian was a heaven rankings powerhouse. At this time, when she recalled the almost perfect handsome face, her cheeks suddenly flushed. It was as though she was a shy girl in springtime. Naturally, Duan Lingtian had no idea about Manager Fu's change in attitude, nor did he want to know about it. At this moment, he entered the great young master's room with Situ Hu, the supreme elder of Situ clan. The room was plain. Duan Lingtian found it hard to believe this was the room of the successor of Situ clan. This fact alone made Duan Lingtian felt little fond of the great young master of Situ clan. At the same time, Duan Lingtian finally saw the great young master of Situ clan, Situ Hang. He was lying on the bed. Situ Hang had a handsome yet soft face. Currently, his face was as pale as a sheet of paper. The black spider mark between his eyebrows looked horrifying. When Duan Lingtian entered the room with Situ Hu, Situ Hang had struggled to sit up. Based on that, one could see how very weak he was. It was almost as though he was like an ordinary person with no cultivation base. "Grandpa Hu," he first greeted Situ Hu before shifting his gaze toward Duan Lingtian. He moved his pale lips, asking, "And this is?" "This is the master who's here to take a look at you." Situ Hu seemed to have a good relationship with Situ Hang. His eyes were kind when he spoke to him. I've already given up, so why do all of you still? Situ Hang sighed. Don't give up until the end, Situ said earnestly. All right, Situ Hang nodded before looking at Duan Lingtian with a forced smile on his face. Please. Chapter 1567. Situ Hang's objective view had affected Duan Lingtian to some extent. In fact, when he had first come in and saw the black spider mark between Situ Hang's brows, he was 90% certain it was the aphotic spider devil inscription. Naturally, he could not be 100% certain until he examined it using his spiritual energy. Relax, Duan Lingtian told Situ Hang in a voice so soft that it gave off a feeling that one was bathed in the spring wind. At the moment Situ Han's face relaxed, Duan Lingtian's spiritual energy rapidly swept out and entered the spot between Situ Hang's brows instantly. To be more precise, it entered the black spider mark at the spot between Situ Hang's brows. Ah! As soon as Duan Lingtian's spiritual energy entered the spot between Situ Hang's brows, Situ Hang let out a shrill cry and slumped forward immediately. What are you doing? When Situ who was standing by the side saw this scene, he could no longer maintain his composure. His expression changed as he glared at Duan Lingtian. However, Duan Lingtian just ignored him. A faint but confident smile had already appeared at the corner of his mouth. There was no doubt that Situ had seen Duan Lingtian's smile. His heart jolted. Don't tell me he has a way. Since Duan Lingtian had appeared in front of him, from the way he easily suppressed the inner mansion's manager of Situ clan and his manner as he examined Situ Hang's illness, Situ found it hard to see through this young man. Although he knew the young man was not a saint stage powerhouse, he seemed even more mysterious than a saint stage powerhouse. You have a way? Situ asked solemnly after taking a deep breath. However, Duan Lingtian continued to ignore him. Instead, he moved to the side of the bed and extended his right hand and used his thumb to press the black spider mark between Situ Hang's eyebrows. In the next instant, one could see the black spider mark between Situ Hang's eyebrows had begun to fade a little. Although it had only faded a little, Situ who had been watching closely could see it clearly. At this moment, he had obtained the answer he wanted even without Duan Lingtian answering him. A sincere smile immediately appeared on his face. Ugh! Just when Duan Lingtian took a step back, Situ Hang woke up. His pale face seemed slightly better. What happened? Why do I feel so much better now? Situ Hang asked in a daze. Soon after, as though he had just remembered something, he turned to look at Duan Lingtian. It was you. Who else would it be if it wasn't me? Don't tell me it was Elder Hu. Naturally, Duan Lingtian knew what Situ Hang meant. With a nonchalant smile, he said, I roughly have an idea about what's wrong. It's not difficult for me to break the devil inscription that you're cursed with. However, we'll need some items. Since you're from the Situ clan, it won't be difficult for you to find the items. When Duan Lingtian was still speaking, Situ Hang was already stunned, causing him to be unable to focus on the latter part of Duan Lingtian's words. Although he had no idea what a devil inscription was, he could faintly guess it had something to do with his body's condition. What was more important was this purple-clad young man seemed to have said he could cure him. This. At this instant, Situ Hang felt as though he was rising to heaven after being in hell. In fact, he had fallen into despair after going through all the pain and torture previously. However, it did not cross his mind that after the few 4-star saint inscription masters who excelled in refining pills concluded that he would not live until the next month, a ray of hope would shine on him now. This ray of hope instantly dispelled all the shadows in his heart. If one could live, who would want to die? Besides, it was under such a dubious condition. What is the devil inscription? Situ who was standing at the side asked, puzzled. The devil inscription is a kind of saint inscription. However, unlike ordinary saint inscriptions, it's a saint inscription that's used to harm others. It's also a one-time saint inscription. It's similar to Tao talismans in this regard, Duan Lingtian answered immediately. There's actually such a saint inscription. Situ who could not help but feel shocked. This is my first time hearing this. However, why does Little Hang has this devil inscription? Situ who asked, confused. Since the devil inscription is a saint inscription, one also has to inscribe it. It's usually hidden in a saint weapon, and it can merge perfectly with ordinary saint inscriptions, making it unnoticeable. Besides, once a person comes in contact with the devil inscription inscribed in the saint inscription for a certain amount of time, the devil inscription's energy will fully attach itself to the person who has touched the saint weapon, Duan Lingtian replied calmly and confidently. All of this information originated from the jade token that contained the strange inscription art. However, the jade token only mentioned the devil inscriptions and the way to break it. It did not specify how to inscribe it. Moreover, according to the jade token, there were many kinds of devil inscriptions, and those recorded in the jade token were just the simple and commonly found ones. The aphotic spider devil inscription was a 2-star devil inscription, so it was a common and simple one. Saint weapon. When Situ Hu and Situ Heng heard Duan Ling Tian's words, they exchanged glances. Disbelief could be seen in both their eyes. After a moment of silence, Duan Ling Tian asked without beating around the bush, "I heard young Master Situ became like this after receiving the saint weapon that the Emperor bestowed to you." Situ Hu turned silent. "It's impossible that it's uncle," Situ Heng said with certainty as he shook his head. "The uncle he mentioned was undoubtedly the Emperor of Windfall Nation." "Can you show me the saint weapon?" Duan Ling Tian asked him. Although Duan Ling Tian had yet to fully cure him, it was a fact that he had healed him quite a bit. Due to this reason, Situ Heng had completely regarded Duan Ling Tian as his savior in his heart. That was why he was very cooperative. "It's this one." With a raise of his hand, he took out a 7-foot-long spear and passed it to Duan Ling Tian. The moment Duan Ling Tian took hold of the spear, he could sense its uniqueness immediately. To be precise, he could sense the uniqueness of the material it was forged from. The chills that entered his hands were so jarring it felt as though it had pierced through his bones. Then, Duan Ling Tian shifted his gaze to the spear's body. He could see 3 saint inscriptions on the spear. He recognized the 3 saint inscriptions. They were 3 3-star saint inscriptions. As far as he knew, this spear that belonged to Situ Heng had a 4-star saint inscription. Since it was not on the body, it had to be on the spearhead. Just as he had expected, he found the 4-star saint inscription on the spearhead. This was his first time seeing a saint weapon inscribed with a 4-star saint inscription after coming to the Dao Martial Saint Land. Even his senior brother, Bai Li Hong, could not inscribe a 4-star saint inscription. Naturally, this was not because his achievement in the saint inscription art was not profound enough. It was because his cultivation base was not high enough. If his senior brother broke through to the saint stage, his spiritual energy would increase. At that time, it would not be difficult for him to inscribe 4-star saint inscriptions. As long as his cultivation base made a breakthrough, his senior brother would become a 4-star saint inscription master. "Is there a problem?" Situ Heng could not help but ask. However, Duan Ling Tian did not answer him. All his attention was focused on the 4-star saint inscription on the spearhead. He could not identify what kind of 4-star saint inscription it was. As time went by, after he had carefully examined it, he finally found something on the striation of the 4-star saint inscription. The striation was very faint, but it could not escape the probing of his spiritual energy. As expected, it's the devil inscription. A smirk appeared on Duan Ling Tian's face. Duan Ling Tian turned to look at Situ Heng and asked, "You said that it's impossible that the Emperor would harm you." "Yes." Situ Heng nodded confidently. "Put aside the fact that he's my uncle, with his current position there's no reason for him to harm me at all." On top of that, when Situ Heng reached the end of his sentence, a blush appeared on his pale face. It made him look like a shy young girl. He could not even finish his sentence. Duan Ling Tian was frowning due to Situ Heng's unfinished sentence when Situ Hu chimed in. If little Heng didn't meet with this unfortunate incident, he would be marrying Princess Chu Ming in 6 months at the most. This marriage was even personally granted by the Emperor. Princess Chu Ming is also the current Emperor's only daughter. Duan Ling Tian finally understood. In that case, the Emperor indeed had no motive to harm Situ Heng. As his only daughter, the Emperor, naturally, loved Princess Chu Ming a lot. It was impossible he would grant them the marriage and kill the future husband of his own princess. After all, just like the ancient era of the world he came from, a woman's integrity and reputation were very important. It was not a joking matter. If it's not the Emperor, then, this devil inscription must be inscribed later on. Duan Ling Tian looked at Situ Heng and asked, "After the Emperor bestowed the spear to you, did you lend it to anyone else?" Even if it's a brilliant devil cultivator saint inscription master, it'll still take him a day and a night to inscribe the devil inscription. After all, unlike ordinary saint inscriptions, the devil inscription is a one-time use saint inscription with a purpose of harming others. "That's right, little Heng, did you lend it to anyone after receiving the spear?" Situ Hu also asked. Before Situ Heng opened his mouth, Duan Lingtian and Satu whose attention were both on him had already obtained their answer. When Duan Lingtian and Satu whose words left their mouths, Satu Heng's expression had changed drastically. There was a hint of struggle in his eyes before it changed into confusion and then rage. Who's it? Satu Hu asked coldly as his eyes turned cold. At this moment, Duan Lingtian felt as though the temperature in the room had dropped. It's really different from ordinary people when a saint stage powerhouse gets angry, Duan Lingtian muttered to himself. Satu Zhou. Satu Heng sighed. Just as expected, it's really him. Satu Hu's face turned glum immediately. How dare he? I'll bring him to the enforcement hall at once. The moment he finished speaking, he turned to leave. Grandpa Hu, wait a minute. Satu Heng and Duan Lingtian's voice sounded at almost the same time as they called out to Satu Hu. Huh, Satu Hu looked at Satu Heng and Duan Lingtian, puzzled. He did not know why both of them called out to him in unison as though they were trying to stop him. Chapter 1568. Grandpa Hu, we don't have any evidence. Satu Heng smiled wryly. Don't we have this, master? Satu Hu looked at Duan Lingtian. It was obvious he had faith in Duan Lingtian. Naturally, this was due to Duan Lingtian's technique that alleviated Satu Heng's illness that had convinced him. The matter that stumped 4-star saint inscription masters in the palace was actually solved by this young man. According to this master, it's apparent the devil inscription is extremely rare. On top of that, the trace that it leaves behind is also negligible. The fact that master managed to find it and identify it as a devil inscription is because he's knowledgeable. However, the others might not believe his words. Satu Heng voiced out his worries. As long as he can treat you, why are you afraid they'll doubt you? Satu Hu thought otherwise. Even if he can treat me, they can still deny the existence of the devil inscription. After all, if master didn't tell us about it, both of us would still be unaware of its existence in this world. In fact, Satu Zhou might use this chance and claim I'm slandering him. Satu Heng sighed. Young master Satu is right. We must not act rashly. Even if we want to catch Satu Zhou, we need more time to consider the matter, Duan Lingtian finally chimed in. Although he had no idea who Satu Zhou was, from Satu Heng and Satu Hu's attitude earlier, it was obvious they were certain Satu Zhou had something to do with Satu Heng being cursed with a devil inscription. You have a point, master. Satu Heng nodded in agreement. He struggled as he climbed off his bed and bowed to Duan Lingtian, expressing his gratitude. Thank you, master, for helping me. Otherwise, it would have been unlikely I would live to see the next month. Although the purple-clad young man had not fully cured him, his condition had improved a lot thanks to his miraculous hand. You're welcome, young master Satu. Duan Lingtian smiled nonchalantly. May I know your name, master? Satu Heng asked politely. Duan Lingtian. Under the gaze of Satu Heng and Satu Hu, Duan Lingtian smiled in response. He was quite fond of the great young master of Satu clan. After living 2 lives, Duan Lingtian had his own way of judging people. He could see Satu Heng was an open-hearted and upright person, unlike those ordinary good-for-nothing rich kids. Oh, so it's Master Duan. Satu Heng only stood for a moment before his face began to turn pale again because he had not fully recovered. Little Heng, rest for a while, Satu Hu chimed in when he saw this. All right, Satu Heng replied after he greeted Duan Lingtian. He smiled apologetically before climbing back into bed to lie down. At the same time, Duan Lingtian and Satu Hu left the room and returned to the big courtyard. Master Duan, I apologize for my rudeness earlier. Satu Hu apologized as soon as they came out. He was obviously referring to the incident when he ordered Manager Fu, the inner mansion's manager, to test Duan Lingtian. I understand, you're merely concerned about young Master Satu, Elder Hu, Duan Lingtian replied. When Satu Hu heard Duan Lingtian's reply, a smile appeared on his face instantly. He asked hesitantly, if I may, Master Duan, are you a Heaven Rankings powerhouse? Heaven Rankings powerhouse? Duan Lingtian was also confused when he saw Satu Hu staring at him. What's that? He had heard of Earth Ranking before, but what was the Heaven Ranking? Master Duan, why you don't know about the Heaven Ranking? Satu Hu could tell Duan Lingtian was not pretending based on his reaction. His eyes widened in surprise. This is my first time hearing it, Duan Lingtian replied. I've heard of Earth Ranking, it's a ranking for powerhouses at the peak of the mortal shedding stage. The Earth Ranking and the Heaven Ranking are at totally different levels. In the Dao Martial Saint Land, there are many Earth Rankings but there are only several dozens of Heaven Rankings. Satuhu shook his head. Can you please explain more of this to me? After hearing Satuhu's words, Duan Lingtian began to get interested in the heaven rankings. He learned more about the heaven rankings through Satuhu. It was a ranking that could only be created by a fifth-rate force in the area under their control for powerhouses at the peak of the Saint Rudiment stage. Although Windfall Nation was a sixth-rate Saint Nation, it was under a fifth-rate force called the Southern Ridge Yuan Mansion. In the land that the Southern Ridge Yuan Mansion ruled, there were a total of 11 sixth-rate forces. Windfall Nation was one of it. Due to this reason, powerhouses at the peak of the Saint Rudiment stage who entered the heaven ranking were all top Saint Rudiment stage powerhouses in the land ruled by the Southern Ridge Yuan Mansion. The heaven ranking had 100 people, and very few people from Windfall Nation made it into the list. I can't believe you've never heard of the heaven ranking, Master Duan. I wonder where you're from? Satuhu asked curiously. I'm from the 9 Sect Alliances district, Duan Lingtian replied truthfully. Since he was going to ask the Satu clan to help to find Bai Li Hong's whereabouts, there was no need for him to keep this a secret. The 9 Sect Alliances district. Satuhu finally understood. I've heard of that place, it's situated at the frontier after the southern desert. I can't believe such a place would produce such an outstanding person like you, Master Duan, Satuhu mused. Elder Hu, I wonder who is this Satu Zhou that you and young Master Satu mentioned? What enmity does he have with young Master Satu? Duan Lingtian was curious about this. In fact, Satu Hang was the great young master of Satu clan and the successor of the clan leader of Satu clan. It was surprising that someone would want to harm him. Judging from his name, Satu Zhou was obviously a clan member. Satu Zhou is also a lineal disciple of Satu clan. He's also the second young master, however, he has no blood relation with Little Hang at all. Well, if you really want to talk about blood relation, I guess we'll have to trace several dozens of generations back, Satuhu answered unhurriedly. Duan Lingtian understood what Satuhu meant. Satu Hang and Satu Zhou were both lineal disciples, but they were not from the same bloodline. The inheritance of Satu clan is not decided by bloodline. Instead, the selection is done by picking the most outstanding lineal disciple and nurturing him to be the next clan leader. The current clan leader is Little Hang's father, and Little Hang does indeed live up to expectation. That's why it's decided he'll become the successor of the clan leader, Satuhu continued to say. However, in Little Hang's generation, there's another person who's extremely outstanding. If Little Hang's not around, he would definitely become the successor of the clan leader. This person is Satu Zhou. When Duan Lingtian heard Satuhu's explanation, he had finally grasped the situation. He also knew for what reason Satu Zhou wanted to kill Satu Hang. There was no doubt he wanted to replace Satu Hang and become the successor of the clan leader of Satu clan. After all, as long as Satu Hang was alive, he would not stand a chance at all. Exactly. Satuhu's eyes gleamed coldly as he said in a deep voice, I can't believe he's crazy to this extent, he's breaking our Satu clan's law. The first law of Satu clan prohibited clan's disciples from fighting one another. Ordinary people won't be able to see the devil inscription. Duan Lingtian shook his head. Master Duan, please stay at Little Hang's residence, I must first inform the clan leader about this. I won't bother you any longer. After Satuhu finished speaking, he ordered a servant in the huge courtyard to take care of Duan Lingtian before he left. Master Duan, please follow me. As the great young master of Satu clan, there was, naturally, many servants in his courtyard. After hearing Satuhu's order, one of them quickly brought Duan Lingtian to a vacant room. The room was tidy. Although it was empty, it was very clean. It was obvious it was frequently cleaned. Master Duan, please let me know if you need anything else. I'll be right here outside the door, the young servant said as she cast flirtatious looks at Duan Lingtian. Although she did not know if this purple-clad young man would be able to cure the great young master, it was enough for her seeing the way Elder Huo treated him. If she could get someone like him to fall for her, it would be an opportunity for her to soar up into the sky. Duan Lingtian directly ignored her. Although the servant was quite good-looking, she was still lacking a lot when compared to Duan Lingtian's two fiancés. I wonder where senior brother, Uncle Feng, and the others are. I hope they've come to Windfall Nation as well, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. I'll ask the clan leader of Satu clan if he knows any fifth-rate force that houses many people with the surname Han. This was the only clue he had regarding Shui Nai's origin. It was apparent the sect Shui Nai was in was a huge clan. Even the ancient Han clan on Cloud Continent was built by ordinary disciples who left the clan 10,000 years ago. The reason he suspected the clan behind Shui Nai was a fifth-rate sect was due to the saint stones Shui Nai had given him previously. 90% of those saint stones were 5th-grade saint stones while the remaining ones were 4th-grade saint stones. These fit the descriptions of a 5th-rate saint stone reserve. Usually, a 5th-rate saint stone reserve was controlled by a 5th-rate sect. Duan Lingtian sat quietly on the bed. He did not rush into the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda to cultivate. This was because he knew he would not be able to cultivate for long even if he entered it. Just like Duan Lingtian had predicted, not long after he sat down, the servant's voice resonated from outside. Master Duan, the clan leader is here. Please come out. This was the reason Duan Lingtian did not enter the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda to cultivate. He was waiting for the clan leader of Situ clan to visit him. As Situ Hang's biological father, naturally, he would come to confirm this when he found out someone could treat his son's peculiar illness. This was the burden of being parents. There were no parents who did not love their children. Duan Lingtian walked out of the room and saw Situ Hu again. A middle-aged man with average build was next to Situ Hu. He was dressed in a blue robe. He was handsome, he had dashing straight eyebrows, emitting the aura and prestige of a leader. It was obvious he was the clan leader of Situ clan, Situ Hao. Chapter 1569, Master Duan. Although Duan Lingtian appeared very young, Situ Hao, the clan leader of Situ clan, did not dare to slack at all when he met him. His voice was filled with respect when he spoke. When Duan Lingtian first laid eyes on Situ Hao, he knew Situ Hao was also a saint stage powerhouse. Clan leader Situ. Duan Lingtian nodded his head in response to Situ Hao's greeting. Although Situ Hao was a saint stage powerhouse, Duan Lingtian still did not feel any pressure from him. He might only be a saint rudiment stage martial cultivator, but he had already killed a saint stage powerhouse before. Naturally, he would not lose his cool in front of a saint stage powerhouse. Situ Hao's impression of Duan Lingtian had risen a few notches due to his manner that was neither humble nor arrogant. Previously, he had thought Situ Hu was exaggerating when he spoke about Duan Lingtian. However, he could see now that Situ Hu was telling the truth, he was not exaggerating. This young man called Duan Lingtian was indeed extraordinary. Master Duan, I heard from Elder Hu that you'll need many materials to rid my son of the devil inscription. I wonder what kind of materials do you need? Situ Hao asked bluntly. There was a sense of urgency when he spoke. Originally, Situ Hao had also lost all hope of finding a cure for his son's peculiar illness. He was overjoyed now that there was hope. I've already drawn the materials with the descriptions at the side. Duan Lingtian passed the paper containing the sketches that he had prepared while he waited in the room to Situ Hao. All types of materials were drawn on the paper with their characteristics listed next to them to help them identify the materials. Situ Hao glanced at the sketches on the paper and kept it as though it was some kind of treasure. At the same time, he asked Duan Lingtian, Master Duan, after I'm done gathering the materials, how long will it take to completely rid my son of the devil inscription? 1 month, Duan Lingtian replied confidently, in just a month, I'll return you a young master Situ who's alive and kicking, clan leader Situ. 1 month. When they heard Duan Lingtian's words, not only Situ Hao, but even Situ Hu's eyes lit up immediately. Situ Hao bade farewell to Duan Lingtian before he hurriedly left. It was apparent Situ Hao had gone to look for the materials. Before he left, he also promised Duan Lingtian he would give him 2 4-star Dao talismans as long as Situ Hang was cured. Duan Lingtian was not too concerned about this. Since the Situ clan had already given their words in public, naturally, it was impossible they would go back on their words. Otherwise, they would only be slapping their own faces. Moreover, before he came to Situ clan, he had also asked around and learned that both the clan leader and the great young master, Situ Hao and Situ Hang, were good people and the praises the public heaped on them were not much. What surprised Duan Lingtian was Situ Hu stayed back even after Situ Hao left. There were many vacant rooms in the large courtyard, and Situ Hu decided to stay in the room next to his, effectively making them neighbors. Looks like Elder Hu is afraid I'll run away. Duan Lingtian shook his head with a smile. A few days had passed as Situ Hu continued to stay in Situ Hang's large courtyard. In another huge courtyard in the Situ clan's inner mansion, the atmosphere was a little heavy. That Master Duan has been staying in Situ Hang's large courtyard for a few days already. That old fella Situ who has been staying there as well. A gloomy young man walked back and forth as he muttered to himself. His eyes shone coldly. Don't tell me that Master Duan or something is actually capable of getting rid of the devil inscription for Situ Hang. The moment he thought about this, the gloomy young man's expression turned grave. He instantly walked into a guest room in his large courtyard to look for the guest living in there. The guest living in the guest room was a black-clad man wearing a grimacing mask. Young Master Zhou, is there a reason you came to find me? The masked man asked. From the masked man's words, it was obvious this gloomy young man was the second young master of Situ clan, Situ Zhou. Are you certain nobody will be able to break your devil inscription? Situ Zhou asked in a deep voice. Of course, the masked man answered confidently, although my devil inscription is not a high-grade devil inscription, I'm confident very few would be able to break my devil inscription in the area under Southern Ridge Yuan Mansion's control. Those who are capable of breaking the inscription are not in Windfall Nation. Do you know that recently, somebody has gone to see Situ Hang and is now staying at his place? On top of that, that old fella Situ who has also been staying there, Situ Zhou said in a deep voice, I suspect that person has a way of breaking the devil inscription on Situ Hang. Impossible, the masked man insisted. Then how do you explain this situation? If he doesn't have a way, he would have long left the Situ clan, Situ Zhou said. When the masked man heard this, he fell silent. After a long while, he finally said, find a chance, and I'll follow you to take a look at Situ Hang. Once I've seen him, I'll be able to confirm if that person is capable of breaking the devil inscription or not. I guess this is the only way now. If that person is really capable of breaking the devil inscription on Situ Hang, our efforts this time would really be in vain. Situ Zhou's face turned even more solemn as time passed by. After a few days, Situ Zhou could no longer maintain his composure when he found out the visitor was still staying at Situ Hang's place. He brought the masked man with him to pay a visit to Situ Hang with the excuse of wanting to visit his big brother. After meeting Situ Hang, the masked man's expression under the mask changed immediately. This was because he discovered Situ Hang's condition had improved a lot. The energy from the devil inscription had also faded a lot. Who exactly is that Master Duan? He's actually capable of breaking my devil inscription. The masked man instantly transmitted his voice to Situ Zhou, shocking him. A hint of unwillingness flashed in his eyes. However, he maintained his composure on the surface. Brother Hang, looks like you've recovered quite a lot. That Master Duan is really skilled. Even those 4-star saint inscription masters are stumped and didn't know what to do, but this person is able to heal you. Situ Zhou smiled at Situ Hang as he said, Brother Hang, I really hope you'll recover as soon as possible since I still have many questions regarding martial tactics to ask you. Alright. Situ Hang nodded indifferently before saying, if there's nothing else, I would like to rest now. After Situ Hang discovered Situ Zhou was the cause of his illness, he could not act naturally in front of him anymore even though he was not hostile. His temper was not so good where he would still be able to smile at someone who wanted to kill him. Brother Hang, I'll take my leave then. I'll visit again another time. Situ Zhou, on the other hand, did not seem to notice Situ Hang's coldness. After he replied with a smile, he left the room. When he left the room, he saw Situ Hu standing in the large courtyard. He quickly greeted him, Elder Hu. Since when is there an extra person next to you? Who's he? Situ Hu asked indifferently when he saw the masked man behind Situ Zhou. This is a friend I met outside. Situ Zhou smiled in response. If I'm not mistaken, he's a devil cultivator, right? Situ Hu asked as he looked at Situ Zhou. Devil cultivator. Situ Zhou was stunned. He shook his head and chuckled. You must be joking, Elder Hu. Our Situ clan has a law stating that nobody in the clan is allowed to befriend a devil cultivator. I really don't have the courage to befriend a devil cultivator. That's good to hear. Situ Hu nodded nonchalantly. I heard the reason Brother Hang is recovering so fast is all thanks to Master Duan's effort. Elder Hu, I wonder which room is Master Duan staying in. I'd like to pay him a visit to give him my thanks on behalf of Brother Hang, Situ Zhou told Situ Hu. Before Situ Hu could respond, one of the guest rooms' door in the large courtyard opened with a loud creak as a purple-clad young man walked out. This young man had straight slanted eyebrows with dazzling eyes. His was handsome and filled with youthful vigor. With just a look, Situ Zhou could not help but feel ashamed of his own ungainly appearance. Master Duan, Situ Hu instantly greeted the purple-clad young man as soon as he walked out. Elder Hu, Duan Lingtian smiled in response before he sat down in front of a stone table. He lifted a teapot and poured himself a cup of tea before drinking it. He completely disregarded Satu-jo, who was standing at the side, and the masked man behind him. The masked man's eyes gleamed with killing intent. Was it this young man who was capable of breaking his devil inscription? Master Duan, good day to you. I'm Satu-jo. It's all thanks to you. If it wasn't for you, Brother Hang's outlook wasn't good. Don't worry, as long as you can cure Brother Hang, our Satu clan won't treat you unfairly. Seeing how Duan Lingtian had ignored him, a flame of rage instantly rose up in Satu-jo's heart. However, he suppressed it and smiled at Duan Lingtian as he expressed his gratitude. Satu-jo. Duan Lingtian finally glanced at Satu-jo and nodded as though he had just realized something. I've heard of you. You're the second master of Satu clan. When Duan Lingtian spoke, he emphasized on the word second a lot. Satu-jo's eyes flashed coldly. It was obvious Duan Lingtian's intentional words had provoked him. However, he did not dare to act recklessly when he recalled Elder, who was just standing at the side. That's right, I'm Satu clan's second young master. Satu-jo smiled in response. However, at the same time, he sent a voice transmission to Duan Lingtian. I don't know who you are, but let me warn you, it's better for you to not meddle in this matter. As long as you stand aside and watch, and tell them you don't know how to cure Satu Hang, I'm willing to give you 3 4-star Dao talismans. It's even more than the reward Satu clan is offering. Stand aside and watch. When Duan Lingtian heard Satu-jo's voice transmission, he was obviously stunned. Perplexed, he asked through voice transmission. Isn't Satu Hang your big brother? You're asking me to stand aside and watch, you want him dead. Stop acting dumb. Since you know how to break the devil inscription, you must know the devil inscription very well. If I'm not mistaken, he already suspects me, right? Satu-jo sent another voice transmission to Duan Lingtian again. Based on his words, it seemed as though he had everything under control. Chapter 1570. After hearing Satu-jo's voice transmission, Duan Lingtian stared at him before he said with hidden meaning, I can't believe second young Master Zhou also knows about the devil inscription. Looks like you must also know where the devil inscription on young Master Heng came from, right? Duan Lingtian did not use voice transmission this time. Instead, he had directly spoken out. At this moment, Satu-hu's gaze turned sharp immediately as he stared at Satu-jo as though he wanted to see if Satu-jo would deny it. I don't know what you're talking about. What the hell is devil inscription? I've never even heard of it before. Satu-jo did not expect Duan Lingtian would speak out. He was instantly enraged. However, he did not dare to show it. He could only pretend as though he did not know anything. You don't know anything about the devil inscription, second young Master Zhou. That's weird, but you're the one who brought up devil inscription to me earlier. Moreover, you even asked me to just stand aside and watch. Could it be that I was mistaken? Duan Lingtian smiled. Don't slander me. When Satu-jo noticed Satu-hu's gaze that was turning sharper, his face turned grave immediately, and he glared at Duan Lingtian. Who are you exactly? What intention do you have? How dare you try and sow discord between Brother Hang and me? Slander you? Duan Lingtian smiled. Second young Master Zhou, you keep saying I'm slandering you. How about this? Why don't we both swear on the lightning penalty oath and see who is the one doing the slandering? As Duan Lingtian spoke, he raised his hand, preparing to prick his finger and swear by the lightning penalty oath. Who do you think you are? Do you think you're worthy for me to swear on the lightning penalty oath for? A hint of panic flashed in depth of Satu-jo's eyes, but he maintained his composure on the surface. He only smirked before he turned to leave. He did not even bid farewell to Satu-hu and immediately turned to leave with the masked man. At this moment, a gust of wind blew past, and Satu-hu disappeared from his spot. When he reappeared, he was blocking Satu-jo and the masked man's way. Elder Hu, what are you doing? Satu-jo asked with a frown. I actually think both of you should swear on the lightning penalty oath to prove your innocence, don't you think so? Satu-hu said nonchalantly. The moment Satu-jo heard this, his face turned slightly grave. Elder Hu is he for me to have to swear on the lightning penalty oath? Don't forget, this is the Satu clan. Don't tell me you're actually helping an outsider, old man. I'm not helping anyone. Even if I want to help, I'm merely helping you to prove your innocence, Satu-hu continued saying. Satu-hu suddenly made his move at the moment Satu-jo's face turned grave and could not come up with a reply. He directly went past Satu-jo and attacked the masked man behind him. The aura of a saint stage powerhouse swept out toward the masked man like a dark cloud. Horror instantly dawned on the masked man, who was taken by surprise. Although the masked man was quite powerful since he was at the imminent saint stage, he had not broken through to saint stage. Due to this reason, there was a large gap between his strength and that of a saint stage powerhouse. Facing the hostile Satuhu, the masked man did not dare to slack at all and unleashed all his techniques without restraint. In his opinion, if he had shown restraint in front of a saint stage powerhouse, it was equivalent to him digging his own grave. Due to this reason, the masked man had inadvertently revealed the fact that he was a devil cultivator. When the masked man revealed his strength as a devil cultivator, Duan Lingtian, who was standing at the side, could sense the agitation of the devil seal tablet in his spatial ring. Duan Lingtian ignored it completely since there was no need for him to make a move at all. As expected, you're really a devil cultivator. After the masked man revealed he was a devil cultivator, Satuhu smirked. His compelling aura turned even stronger. It was obvious he meant business now. Horror dawned on Satujo's face. He crushed a jade token in a panic. After the jade token was crushed, an extremely fast ray of light flashed across the sky. Like a star, it disappeared the moment it appeared. A jade token inscribed with a warning saint inscription. Duan Lingtian raised his brows. He was not unfamiliar to this kind of jade token. Back when he was in the Moon Illumination sect and had participated in the hunting assessment, he had also obtained a similar kind of jade token. However, compared to the jade token he obtained previously, Satujo's jade token was obviously more advanced. At the very least, the warning produced by the crushing of the jade token even took Satuhu, who was a saint stage powerhouse, by surprise. Naturally, this was because Satuhu's attention was not on him. After Satuhu discovered the masked man was a devil cultivator, he no longer showed any mercy when he attacked. With a turn of his palm, he easily blasted the masked man to death. Satujo, how dare you collude with a devil cultivator to kill your senior? After killing the masked man, Satuhu looked at Satujo coldly. His voice was extremely icy when he spoke. Even at this point, Satujo still maintained his composure and said nonchalantly, "Elder Hu, I didn't know he was a devil cultivator." You didn't know he was a devil cultivator? Satuhu smirked. It's better to just leave this matter to the enforcement elder then. The moment his words left his mouth, he took a step forward and was ready to catch Satujo and bring him to the enforcement hall. At this moment, a gust of wind swept past, and a middle-aged man with a medium-built body suddenly appeared in front of Satujo. He looked at Satuhu calmly as he asked, "Elder Hu, I wonder what kind of mistake my son made to the point that you want to bring him to the enforcement elder." Satu Ming, you have a truly good son. The moment Satuhu saw this middle-aged man, he frowned before he snorted coldly. Today, I'll bring him to the enforcement hall no matter what for colluding with a devil cultivator to kill his senior. This sin is not small at all. Satu Ming, when Duan Lingtian heard the way Satuhu addressed this man, he could not help but take another glance at him. He had also heard of this name, Satu Ming, before he came to the Satu clan. He was Satu clan's second master. In the Satu clan, his position was just below the clan leader, Satu Hao, and the three supreme elders. He was also a saint stage powerhouse. The moment Satuhu's words left his mouth, he proceeded to catch Satujo. This time, Satu Ming did not stop him. He merely looked on with a calm expression on his face. When Satuhu brought Satujo away, he turned around and took a good look at Duan Lingtian. After that, he finally followed Satuhu and went to the enforcement hall of Satu clan. This Satu Ming is not a simple person. I'm afraid Elder Hu won't be able to deal with Satujo this time, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. The result was just as Duan Lingtian had predicted. Although Satujo was punished, he was only punished with reflecting in the enforcement hall for 3 months. Why is his punishment so light? Duan Lingtian felt puzzled. Satujo kept insisting he had no idea the masked man was a devil cultivator. Not only that, but he pushed all the blame and the things about the devil inscription to the masked man I killed. He said he was unaware the devil cultivator had inscribed a devil inscription. Due to this reason, the enforcement hall merely punished him for befriending a devil cultivator, Satuhu said in a deep voice. A hint of displeasure could be seen in his eyes. They should ask him to swear by the lightning penalty oath to prove his innocence. I think he won't dare to make the oath. If that's the case, that enough to prove he's the person pulling the strings from behind the curtain, Duan Lingtian chimed in. He felt this would be a good solution to this problem. It's not so simple. Situ shook his head and smiled wryly. After that, Duan Ling Tian got a better grasp of the situation. As it turned out, the Situ clan was not as united as it seemed. On the surface, the Situ clan had their clan leader, Situ Hao. However, nearly half of the high-ranking officials in their clan were on Situ clan's second master, Situ Ming's side. In reality, there were two forces in the Situ clan. Not only that, but there was a total of 5 saint stage powerhouses. Apart from Situ Ming and Situ Hao, there were another 3. Situ was one of them, and he was on Situ Hao's side. One of the 2 other saint stage powerhouses was on Situ Ming's side. The last one, on the other hand, remained neutral. The person who remained neutral was also the strongest powerhouse in Situ clan. He was the person with the highest position in the Situ clan, even higher than Situ who was already older than Situ Hao by a generation. The Situ clan's members addressed him as ancestor. According to Situ the ancestor of their Situ clan had not shown his face for many years. The last time he showed himself was when Situ Hao had just succeeded the clan leader's position. I can't believe the Situ clan's situation is actually this complicated. In this case, will this matter be swept under the rug just like this? Duan Ling Tian asked. Since nothing happened to Little Hang, I guess that's how it'll be. Although the Situ clan appears wonderful, it has internal and external strife. Even clan leader doesn't dare to simply find fault with Situ Ming and his people. If things go out of control, it'll definitely sway the foundation of the Situ clan, and this would give an opportunity for the enemy to invade. Situ sighed. Although he was unwilling, there was nothing he could do. After all, this was how things were done. Enemy, I thought the Situ clan has the Windfall Nation's imperial family behind them. Duan Ling Tian frowned. Don't tell me there are people who dare to disregard the imperial family and go against the Situ clan. Imperial family? When Situ heard this, he shook his head. Put aside how ruthless the imperial family is, the relationship between our Situ clan and the imperial family is only built on imperial concubine Li alone. Those forces who dare to go against our Situ clan more or less have a similar relationship with the imperial family. Some of them are even closer to the imperial family than we are. The open and hidden struggles of our clans are also tacitly approved by the imperial family. Actually, the imperial family will be even more worried if we get along. If we do get along, the imperial family might even purposely sow discord between us. When Situ reached the end of his sentence, he sighed. Duan Ling Tian nodded. He could totally understand this. There was no doubt Windfall Nation's imperial family would not hope for the 7th-rate forces to get along with each other. If that was the case, these 7th-rate forces might rise to the top quickly and threaten the imperial family's position. In order to eliminate this threat, the imperial family, naturally, would be more than happy to watch the little fellows below them fight. Chapter 1571. Duan Ling Tian was not concerned with solving the internal conflicts in Situ clan. What he was concerned about were the materials he had asked Situ Hao, the clan leader of Situ clan, to prepare. The truth was, Duan Ling Tian did not need the materials to get rid of the devil inscription on Situ Hang, the great young master of Situ clan. All he needed to do was activate his spiritual energy and spend a few days to completely break it. The reason he made it complicated was so Situ clan would gather more common materials for him to repair the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. Apart from that, many materials that Duan Ling Tian asked Situ Hao to gather were also materials to inscribe 3-star saint inscriptions. Currently, Duan Ling Tian's cultivation base was already at the Paramount Saint rudiment stage, and his spiritual energy had transformed along with it. He could now inscribe 3-star saint inscriptions. Although that was the case, he did not have many materials in his hands. Due to this reason, he had no choice but to use the Situ clan to labor for him. Master Duan, the materials you requested are here. One had to say, the clan leader of Situ clan was indeed efficient. Only 2 weeks had passed, and he had already finished gathering the materials Duan Ling Tian had requested. He placed all of it in a spatial ring and passed it to Duan Ling Tian. Naturally, Situ Hao had found the materials so easily because Duan Ling Tian did not ask for those rare treasures needed to repair the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. Those materials were hard to find. Although the Situ clan was a 6th-rate clan, it might not be easy for them to obtain it. Due to this reason, Duan Ling Tian did not request for things that were beyond his power. In a month, I'll return you a healthy son, Duan Ling Tian said with a smile after taking the spatial ring. I believe in you, Master Duan. Situ Hao also smiled as he nodded. He did not know he had been cheated of a lot of materials. Naturally, he would not have said anything even if he knew. After all, Duan Lingtian was the only one who could treat his son now. As the saying went, a rare commodity is worth hoarding to corner the market. In the next 1 month, Duan Lingtian would treat Situ Heng every 7 to 8 days. As for the remaining time, he would use them to inscribe 3-star saint inscriptions. After 1 month, he was already skilled in inscribing 3-star saint inscriptions. Meanwhile, he had also completely rid Situ Heng of the devil inscription. Master Duan, I, Situ Heng, will always remember your help for curing me. After the devil inscription had been broken, Situ Heng had, naturally, recovered. He bowed to Duan Lingtian to express his gratitude. Young Master Situ, you're welcome. Duan Lingtian smiled. At the same time, Duan Lingtian also obtained 2 4-star Dao talismans, the 4-star Divine Strider talisman and the 4-star Golden Energy talisman. If he used them, he would have the speed and defense equivalent to a saint stage powerhouse for 15 minutes. When Situ Heng found out this was Duan Lingtian's first time in Windfall Nation and he was unfamiliar with the people in the place, he instantly invited Duan Lingtian to stay at the Situ clan. Situ Hao also agreed to this suggestion. A few days later, when he learned from Situ Heng that Duan Lingtian was a 3-star saint inscription master, he was even more delighted. Once again, he went to pay Duan Lingtian a visit to apologize. Master Duan, I really didn't know you're actually a 3-star saint inscription master before this. I'm sorry for my negligence. What a joke. Prior to this, the Situ clan only had 1 3-star saint inscription master in the clan. However, that saint inscription master was on Situ Ming's side. Due to the reason that the 3-star saint inscriptions business in Situ clan had been monopolized by Situ Ming, Situ Hao had no choice but to turn a blind eye to many things in regard to Situ Ming. After all, the Situ clan still needed to rely on the 3-star saint inscription master who was on Situ Ming's side. Due to this reason, he instantly came to apologize when he found out Duan Lingtian was also a 3-star saint inscription master. At the same time, he also told Duan Lingtian he could stay as long as he liked in the Situ clan, and the clan would give him the best treatment they could give. Duan Lingtian had deliberately revealed his identity as a 3-star saint inscription master. This was because it was of utmost importance for him to stabilize his position in the capital of Windfall Nation. This identity of a 3-star saint inscription master would also allow him to stabilize his position better in the Situ clan and the capital of Windfall Nation. Moreover, the identity of a 3-star saint inscription could also display his worth. Just as Duan Lingtian had expected, a few days later, Situ Heng came to find him and asked for his help to inscribe 3-star saint inscriptions on a bunch of saint weapons. Master Duan, these saint weapons will be sold under our Situ clan's business. Our Situ clan will provide all the materials needed to inscribe the saint inscriptions, and we'll split the profit 50 to 50, what do you think? No problem. Although Duan Lingtian knew Situ clan would agree to it even if he had asked for a bigger share, he did not do that at all. He was not lacking in saint stones after all. Moreover, now that he had done the clan leader of Situ clan a favor, he had no need to worry the clan leader would not make an effort to deal with his matters in the future. He was not concerned about the saint stones but the potential profit. Master Duan, when Situ Heng heard Duan Lingtian agreeing to it immediately, he was stunned. He was expecting Duan Lingtian to bargain with him. The lowest his father had allowed him to split the profit was 70 to 30. 70% for Duan Lingtian, and 30% for the Situ clan. It did not cross his mind that Duan Lingtian did not even bargain with him and had agreed to it immediately. At this moment, Situ Heng began to feel guilty. Master Duan, perhaps we should give you a bigger share of the profit. Situ Heng asked with a wry smile. There's no need. I'm not lacking in saint stones, Duan Lingtian said bluntly as he shook his head. However, if it's possible, I hope the Situ clan can help find the whereabouts of my senior brother. I want to know if my senior brother has also come to Windfall Nation. This is only a small matter. Master Duan, you only need to draw the portrait of your senior brother, and I'll ask my father to let his man search for him in every corner of Windfall Nation, Situ Heng said nonchalantly. I'll have to trouble you with this then. My senior brother is also a 3-star saint inscription master, Duan Lingtian said as he nodded. When he reached the end of his sentence, he also emphasized that Bai Li Hong was a 3-star saint inscription master. Moreover, my senior brother is different from me. I'm used to wandering, sooner or later, I'll leave the Satu clan. However, my senior brother might be willing to stay in Satu clan long term. When Satu Hang heard his words, his eyes lit up right away. After spending some time together, he had also begun to understand Duan Lingtian more. He learned that Duan Lingtian was younger than him. At that time, he knew with Duan Lingtian's current achievements at his age, his achievements in the future would be boundless. Due to this reason, he did not think he would stay long in Satu clan. Satu Hang and his father had been plagued by this matter. However, Duan Lingtian's words to him right now were like the sun that dispelled all the dark clouds in their hearts. Master Duan, please be rest assured. If your senior brother has come to Windfall Nation, our Satu clan will definitely find him, Satu Hang pledged solemnly. Also, there's another matter, Duan Lingtian called out to Satu Hang when he saw he was about to leave. Is there anything else I can help you with, Master Duan? Satu Hang asked respectfully. Is there any powerhouse who's ranked in the heaven ranking in Windfall Nation? Duan Lingtian asked. Yes, Satu Hang nodded. There's a total of 6 people who have made it into the heaven ranking in Windfall Nation. The person who's listed on top is ranked 11th in the heaven ranking. Is there any way for us to find that person? Duan Lingtian asked again. Maybe not for the time being. I heard he's trying to break through, so he might have gone into closed-door cultivation. As a sectless cultivator, his whereabouts are not fixed, and I have no idea where he might have gone for his closed-door cultivation. Satu Hang shook his head. How about the strongest person among the remaining 5? Can we find any of them now? Duan Lingtian asked again. The strongest person among the remaining 5 is ranked 23rd in the heaven ranking. It's not difficult to find her since she's the disciple of another 7th-rate force in Windfall Nation. Master Duan, are you planning to challenge her? Satu Hang asked curiously. Satu Hang had already learned from Satu Hu that Duan Lingtian's strength was outstanding. Now that he heard Duan Lingtian wanted to look for powerhouses in the heaven ranking, he could instantly guess his intention. If he succeeded in challenging the heaven ranking's powerhouse, he would replace her while the heaven ranking's powerhouse would be eliminated from the heaven ranking. This heaven rankings rule was made because they were afraid some of them would intentionally lose to their opponent. This was why they would be eliminated if they lost. That's right, Duan Lingtian nodded. He really intended to challenge a heaven rankings powerhouse. Only if he was ranked in the heaven ranking would he be able to make a name for himself in Windfall Nation. Moreover, he would also gain fame in the Southern Ridge Yuan Mansions district as well. Duan Lingtian was not a person who liked to show off. However, he was doing this to find Bai Li Hong and the others as quickly as he could. He believed Bai Li Hong would look for him as soon as he found out Duan Lingtian was with the Satu clan. Master Duan, although I don't doubt your strength, it's a little risky for you to immediately challenge someone who's ranked 23rd in the heaven ranking. I suspect that person's current strength is already enough for her to make it into the top 10 of the heaven ranking. Satu Hang said with a hint of dread. What do you mean? Duan Lingtian asked. He was curious why Satu Hang had such a high opinion of the person who ranked 23rd in the heaven ranking. Well, she can be considered as a legendary figure in our Windfall Nation. She's not too old, even younger than you actually, Master Duan. Not only that, but as far as I know, she also came from the distant Mortal Continent. That girl from Mortal Continent actually has an innate talent that far surpasses her peers. That time, it only took her 6 months to climb from the 95th place to the 23rd place in the heaven ranking. When Satu Hang reached the end of his sentence, he turned solemn. Currently, it's been exactly 6 months since she climbed up to the 23rd place in the heaven ranking. Chapter 1572, She's from Mortal Continent, a girl on top of that. When Duan Lingtian heard Satu Hang's words, he was greatly taken aback. Even if she was a girl from Windfall Nation, her achievement would still shock him. After all, the girl was even younger than him. Moreover, based on Satu Hang's words, the fact that her strength had risen so much in just 6 months was enough to prove her innate talent was high, surpassing the younger generation in Windfall Nation. Such a girl was actually from the Mortal Continent, just like him. Looks like other than Cloud Continent, the other 2 Mortal Continents has talented people hidden in there as well, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. After all, he was from Cloud Continent. If there was such an outstanding person on Cloud Continent, it would be impossible for him to not have heard about her. Naturally, he did not completely dismiss the possibility of her coming from Cloud Continent. She could have kept a low profile. If I defeat her, my name should be able to spread through Windfall Nation, right? Duan Lingtian asked as he looked at Situ Hang. Of course. Situ Hang nodded solemnly. If you can defeat her, not only will your name spread in Windfall Nation, but it'll even spread to the Southern Ridge Yuan Mansion. After all, that girl's also a well-known person in the Southern Ridge Yuan Mansion. When Duan Lingtian heard Situ Hang's words, he felt at ease and instantly made up his mind. Then I'll issue a challenge to her. When Situ Hang saw how Duan Lingtian decided to go through with the challenge even after learning about her background, he was momentarily stunned before he asked, "You've made up your mind?" "Yes, I've made up my mind." Duan Lingtian nodded. "Help me arrange it." "There's no need to arrange anything. You just need to issue a dual invitation." Situ Hang shook his head. "Just leave the dual invitation to me." "All right, thanks." Duan Lingtian nodded. Naturally, he felt more at ease since Situ Hang was the one handling the matter. After taking Bai Li Hong's portrait from Duan Lingtian, Situ Hang left to look for his father, the clan leader of Situ clan. After Situ Hao learned that Duan Lingtian's senior brother was also a 3-star saint inscription master, and as long they were able to find him, he might also stay with the Situ clan, naturally, he would put even more effort into searching for him. Situ Hao could tell Duan Lingtian would not stay in the Situ clan for long, so how could he not? Although he did not have much contact with Duan Lingtian, he could see Duan Lingtian was a potential dragon who would soar up into the sky soon. He was not somebody that could fit in their tiny Situ clan. This matter had plagued him for some time. After all, once Duan Lingtian had left, it would mean there would no longer be a 3-star saint inscription master at his side. However, Duan Lingtian's senior brother had given him hope even though he had not been found yet. After passing the portrait in his hand to Situ Hao, Situ Hang said, "Father, I'll leave the matter of helping Master Duan find his senior brother to you. I'll help him issue a challenge to the Drift Blaze sect instead." Issue a dual invitation to the Drift Blaze sect. When Situ Hao heard Situ Hang's words, he could not help but frown right away. "What's going on? Why are you picking a fight with the Drift Blaze sect? Why haven't I heard of this before?" When Situ Hao reached the end of his sentence, his face turned grave right away. The Drift Blaze sect was a 7th-rate force in Windfall Nation. Their strength was in no way inferior to their Situ clan. The first thing he thought of when he heard his son wanted to issue a dual invitation to the Drift Blaze sect was his son had enmity with the Drift Blaze sect. In his opinion, this was not something good. "Father, you've misunderstood." Situ Hang shook his head. "It isn't me who wants to issue a dual invitation to the Drift Blaze sect, I'm merely helping Master Duan to issue this challenge." "Master Duan?" Situ Hao's frown deepened. "Master Duan has enmity with the Drift Blaze sect?" "No." Situ Hang shook his head. Without waiting for Situ Hao's question, he explained, "Master Duan wants to challenge the Drift Blaze sect's female disciple who ranked 23rd in the heaven ranking. The dual invitation I'm helping him to issue is to challenge Lady Feng from the Drift Blaze sect." Challenge Lady Feng? After learning Duan Lingtian did not have any enmity with the Drift Blaze sect, Situ Hao also heaved a sigh of relief. However, when he heard the latter half of Situ Hang's sentence, a hint of confusion could be seen in his eyes. "Although we don't have many heaven rankings powerhouses, we still have a few, right? Why would Master Duan want to challenge Lady Feng? Lady Feng is not a simple person." When he reached the end of his sentence, his face was solemn. Whether it was Situ Hao or Situ Hang or most of the people in Windfall Nation, they all only knew this Drift Blaze sect's female disciple who recently rose to the top had the surname Feng. They usually referred to her as Lady Feng. No one knew what her full name was. In fact, not many people in the Drift Blaze sect even knew her full name. In the Drift Blaze sect, even the sect's elders and disciples also referred her as Lady Feng. She was also the direct disciple of the sect leader of Drift Blaze sect. A few years after she entered the sect, she had already occupied the seat of an honorable disciple and cowed all of the younger generations in the Drift Blaze sect into submission. A year ago, she had already been acknowledged as the strongest person in the Drift Blaze sect, apart from the few saint stage powerhouses. "Father, it's true Lady Feng is not a simple person, but do you think Master Duan is a simple person?" When Situ Hang heard Situ Hao's words, he refrained from making any comment. Of course, Master Duan is not simple. According to Elder Hu, his strength is enough for him to enter the heaven ranking. However, even if he's qualified to enter the heaven ranking, he might not be able to defeat Lady Feng from Drift Blaze sect. 6 months have gone by. I'm afraid Lady Feng's current strength is enough for her to enter the top 10 of the heaven ranking. Based on Situ Hao's words, it seemed as though he did not have much confidence in Duan Lingtian in regard to this. Father, I've also mentioned these things to Master Duan. However, he seems confident even after learning about this. I believe Master Duan is not the kind of person who speaks without thinking. Based on Situ Heng's words, it was obvious he had confidence in Duan Lingtian. Naturally, this was also because Duan Lingtian had pulled him back from Heaven's Gate. His life was rescued by Duan Lingtian, it was only natural for him to side Duan Lingtian. Since Master Duan Lingtian is confident, then help him issue the dual invitation. After issuing the dual invitation, I'll let Elder Hu accompany you and Master Duan to the Drift Blaze sect to challenge Lady Feng. If it's not because there's some matter in the sect I need to personally deal with, I'd also like to see Lady Feng's graceful bearing, Situ Hao replied, his tone filled with regret. Although the Drift Blaze sect's Lady Feng's fame had spread far and wide in Windfall Nation, he had never seen her before. I've long heard that Lady Feng is an extremely beautiful woman with looks that can topple a nation. I'll be able to feast my eyes to my heart's content since I'll be following Master Duan to the Drift Blaze sect. Situ Heng chuckled. Go now, after Master Duan's matter is settled. You should also follow me to the palace to meet His Highness to discuss the marriage between you and Princess Chu Ming, Situ Hao urged. When he reached the end of his sentence, a smile appeared on his face. Situ Heng blushed immediately when he heard his words and left immediately as though he was fleeing. This boy is blushing, huh? Watching Situ Heng's silhouette disappearing before his eyes, Situ Hao shook his head with a smile that was filled with love. One must admit that Situ Heng was highly efficient. It only took 2 days before the dual invitation he had asked a Situ clan's member to send out reached the Drift Blaze sect, or to be more precise, reached the hands of the Drift Blaze sect's disciple who was guarding the monastery gate of Drift Blaze sect's estate. Situ clan's interim advisor, Master Duan, wants to challenge Lady Feng who's ranked 23rd in the heaven ranking. After the Drift Blaze sect's disciple saw the content of the dual invitation, he was stunned. There's no name. What Master Duan, how haughty can this person be? Does he really think he's in the same league as Lady Feng? Looks like he's just another masochist. As the disciple responsible for guarding the monastery gate of Drift Blaze sect, he had already received not fewer than 10 dual invitations in this 1 year even though he was not on shift every day. All of the contents of the dual invitations were to challenge their Drift Blaze sect's Lady Feng. Although there were many challengers, the outcome was all the same. They were all defeated by Lady Feng in just one fell swoop. As Lady Feng's name spread even more, nobody dared to send a dual invitation anymore in this 1 month. He did not expect there was another masochist who would issue a dual invitation after a month. Moreover, this masochist seemed quite pompous as well. He did not even reveal his full name and only referred to himself as Master Duan. If Duan Lingtian knew the thoughts of this Drift Blaze sect's disciple, he would definitely feel wronged. He did not even know the content written in the dual invitation. If he had personally written the dual invitation, there was no doubt he would have written his full name. However, since Situ Heng was the one who had written the dual invitation, due to his respect for Duan Lingtian, it was only natural he did not use his full name. In Situ Heng's opinion, Master Duan was an honorific title, representing his respect toward Duan Lingtian. Situ clan, the Situ clan from the capital. When another Drift Blaze sect's disciple heard the news, he was taken by surprise as well. It seems like it. The former nodded. Tisk tisk, the challenger is the Situ clan's interim advisor. If he's defeated, isn't Situ clan worried their name would fall? Another Drift Blaze sect's disciple mocked. Even if the interim advisor of Situ clan fails, I don't think it'll impact Situ clan much. After all, our Drift Blaze sect's Lady Feng is known as the strongest Saint Rudiment stage powerhouse in Windfall Nation. If it wasn't for the fact that that fellow who's ranked 11th in the heaven ranking refuses to see us, our Lady Feng would have long defeated him and be ranked 11th in the heaven ranking. I've heard from an inner court elder that Lady Feng's current strength is enough to enter the top 10 in the heaven ranking. Each of the Drift Blaze sect's disciples' words were filled with admiration toward Lady Feng. Chapter 1573. The estate of Drift Blaze sect was situated in a range of volcanoes. Naturally, in the range of volcanoes, other than a few volcanoes in the middle that were still active, the other volcanoes had been dormant for a long time. The inner court and outer court of the Drift Blaze sect were also separately situated at the active and dormant volcanoes. The Drift Blaze sect's inner court was near the most active volcanoes. It was also the Drift Blaze sect's forbidden area. This was because the people who cultivated here were all the Saint Stage powerhouses of Drift Blaze sect. They were the Guardians Drift Blaze sect. Usually, only those with positions higher than inner court elders could enter if they had matters to attend to. However, a few years ago, the forbidden law of Drift Blaze sect was changed just to accommodate someone. This was the first person who had not entered the Saint Stage but was allowed to cultivate in the Drift Blaze sect's forbidden area. She was also the only direct disciple of the clan leader of Drift Blaze sect. She was known as Lady Feng by everyone in the sect. A few of them could still remember when Lady Feng had just arrived at the Drift Blaze sect. Many people were inwardly jealous of her and bad-mouthed her. They said she was only lucky she had the clan leader as her master. Moreover, they also said she was good at flattering the clan leader. That was why she was allowed to cultivate in the forbidden area of the sect, a place with the richest heaven and earth spirit energy in the sect. In fact, before this, the sect leader of Drift Blaze sect had 2 other disciples, but none of them was qualified to cultivate in the sect's forbidden area. However, now that a few years had gone by, nobody dared to say Lady Feng did not possess the qualification of cultivating in the forbidden area anymore. What a joke! With Lady Feng's achievements at her age, she was certainly destined to break through to the Saint Stage. Moreover, her achievements in the future would not be inferior to the sect leader and the few supreme elders in the sect. This was because even the sect leader and supreme elders were not as outstanding as she was at her age. Due to this reason, there was no one in the Drift Blaze sect that did not admire her. In the Drift Blaze sect's forbidden area, there was a vast courtyard in the middle of the mountain. In the vast courtyard, the plants were lush, giving off a refreshing and tranquil feeling. At this moment, a seductive and sexy woman stood in the courtyard. She was dressed in a fiery red robe, making her look like a fire elf. Her long hair that reached down to her waist was like a waterfall, complementing her face that was almost perfect. She looked just like a fairy that had descended from heaven. Arched eyebrows, bright eyes, tall nose, and a cherry-like little mouth. All of them were created perfectly by the Creator. It was not an exaggeration to say this lady in a fiery red robe had looks that could topple a nation. I'm still a step away. The woman just walked out of her room. She heaved a long sigh as she muttered to herself, Big Brother Duan, Tian Wu will be able to meet you soon. Master has also said that as long as I break through to the Saint Stage, she's willing to let me leave the Dao Martial Saint Land and return to Cloud Continent. Don't worry, it won't take me long to break through to the Saint Stage. The woman stared at the horizon in a daze, lost in her thoughts. After a while, someone arrived, and she snapped out of her reverie. The person who had just arrived was none other than Ziyun, the sect leader of Drift Blaze sect. Ziyun was a dignified and graceful beauty. Looking at her almost perfect face, one could see that her beauty, when she was young, was not much different from that woman named Tian Wu. Tian Wu. The moment Ziyun arrived, she instantly appeared next to the red-clad woman, shocking her. Master. The woman was very polite in front of Ziyun. It was all thanks to the sincere nurturing of her master that she was able to achieve so much today. Get ready, the interim advisor of Situ clan will come to our Drift Blaze sect in 2 weeks. He wants to challenge you. With a raise of her hand, Ziyun passed the duel invitation to the woman. Situ clan. That's Situ clan from the capital. The woman took the duel invitation. Yes, it's the Situ clan from the capital. The people from Situ clan are not simple. I've never even heard of this Master Duan, Situ clan's interim advisor, before. It's better that you don't underestimate him when you fight him, Ziyun reminded her. All right, the woman nodded as she opened the duel invitation. When she saw the word Duan, she could not help but feel a little dazed. Master Duan, he didn't even state his full name. Seems like he's quite pompous, the woman commented. No matter who he is, and no matter how pompous he is, I have faith in you, Ziyun said. Meanwhile, at the capital of Windfall Nation far away, inside the Situ clan's mansion, Situ Hang, the great young master of Situ clan, came to look for Duan Lingtian again. Master Duan, I've already sent out a duel invitation on your behalf to the Drift Blaze sect. The official date of your duel with Lady Feng is set to take place in 2 weeks, Situ Heng said without beating around the bush after he saw Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian nodded. His glinted as he asked, the female disciple from Drift Blaze sect has the surname Feng. Yes, Situ Heng nodded. She has the surname Feng, and she's from the mortal continent. Could it be Tian Wu? This thought inexplicably appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind. Taking a deep breath, Duan Lingtian looked at Situ Heng and asked, "Do you know the full name of Lady Feng?" "Sorry, I don't." Situ Heng shook his head. "Even the majority of people in Windfall Nation don't know her name, let alone me. Moreover, only a few people in the Drift Blaze sect knows her name." Duan Lingtian nodded again. He shook his head and dismissed the thought that his opponent might be Tian Wu. It's impossible that she's Tian Wu. Although Tian Wu's innate talent is remarkable, it's still restricted to Cloud Continent. Even if she has a good foundation and is stronger than other ordinary martial cultivators here in the Dao Martial Saint Land, it's still impossible for her to be so ridiculously strong. When Duan Lingtian recalled the achievement of the Drift Blaze sect's Lady Feng in just a year, he completely dismissed his suspicion of Tian Wu being Lady Feng. However, now that he was reminded of Tian Wu by Lady Feng from the Drift Blaze sect, his heart was overwhelmed with disappointment. "Tian Wu, where are you exactly?" Situ Heng left knowingly as though he could see Duan Lingtian's heavy mood even though he had no idea why. He knew it was best to leave Duan Lingtian alone for now. In the Dao Martial Saint Land, the Dragon Clan. Perhaps, to an ordinary martial or Dao cultivator, the mountain range the Dragon Clan inhabited was a mysterious place. Although they knew its location, it was difficult for them to break in. However, to some people, entering the Dragon Clan's hideaway was as easy as walking into an uninhabited area. A middle-aged man brought along a skinny black-clad old man with him as they swaggered into the Dragon Clan's hideaway. As they made their way in, they did not deliberately conceal their presence, and yet, they were not discovered by the dragons patrolling around. Naturally, this was because their speed was too fast, and the dragons with a lower cultivation base were just unaware of what was happening. The two travel-weary people who had journeyed a long distance were none other than Duan Rufeng, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, and Ku Mi, one of his competent subordinates. Originally, with Duan Rufeng and his subordinate's speed, they should have long arrived at the Dragon Clan's hideaway after leaving the Moon Illumination sect. However, they had met with some issue halfway through their journey. "I can't believe some people from the Fire Worship sect have long left the upper province and came to the lower province. If I'm not mistaken, the person whom they're publicly and secretly seeking is my daughter-in-law, Ka." Although they had entered the Dragon Clan's hideaway, Duan Rufeng's heart was focused on another matter. His mind was completely focused on the few people from the Fire Worship sect he had met halfway through their journey. Those people were so powerful that they were barely weaker than Ku Mi. If the few of them had joined forces, Ku Mi might not even be able to defeat them. He had killed all of them except one whom he had cast the soul-searching tactic on. He learned that those few people were not of any import in the sect. They were merely some inconspicuous people from the sect. Since those people did not hold any important position in the Fire Worship sect, Duan Rufeng, naturally, did not manage to obtain any useful information. He only found out they came to the lower province to find someone. The person they were looking for was someone the Fire Worship sect regarded as the Saint Girl. After piecing together all the clues Duan Lingtian had left behind on Cloud Continent, he could kind of guess the person that the Fire Worship sect was looking for must be Ka, who had been kidnapped by someone claiming to be from the Fire Worship sect. Although he had never seen Ka before, she was not unfamiliar to him since his wife had always mentioned her name. Ka was his wife's most beloved daughter-in-law since she had watched her grow up. Although he had never seen Ka before, she was not unfamiliar to him. Whoosh! The sound of wind whistling accompanied the appearance of an old man dressed in a long blood-red robe as he blocked Duan Rufeng and Kumi's path. Duan Rufeng had already noticed the presence of this old man and had instantly put a stop to his wandering mind. "I was wondering who dared to trespass into the Dragon Clan's hideaway. As it turns out it's you, old man Ku." The old man who was dressed in a long blood-red robe shifted his attention to Ku Mi immediately. It was obvious he knew Ku Mi. In the next moment, he shifted his attention to Duan Rufeng, who was standing in front of Ku Mi. Although he was not familiar with Duan Rufeng, it was not difficult for him to guess his identity after he saw how Ku Mi stood behind him. "Good day, Mansion Master." After he guessed Duan Rufeng's identity, the old man gasped inwardly before he carefully bowed at him. Duan Rufeng, the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, did not even take 40 years to rise to his current position. 40 years was just like a nap for the dragons. However, in such a short period of time, such a remarkable person had appeared in the Dao Martial Saint Land. This person was none other than Duan Rufeng. It did not take Duan Rufeng more than 40 years to control the powerful Azure Cloud Mansion that was not inferior to the Dragon Clan in the dark to ruling it out in the open. Although Duan Rufeng's age was nothing compared to him, he did not dare to slack in front of him. He knew he was not as powerful as him. In fact, his strength was comparable to their clan leader. In terms of identity and position, Duan Rufeng was someone who was on equal footing with the clan leader of the Dragon Clan. Chapter 1574, Lord Mansion Master, he's the five-clawed blood dragon of the Dragon Clan, Shui Chan. Ku Mi transmitted his voice to Duan Rufeng as the blood-red-robed old man bowed at him respectfully. He's also the current enforcement elder of the Dragon Clan. Duan Rufeng glanced at Shui Chan indifferently as he said calmly, I'm here to look for Diju. Diju. Shui Chan would not be surprised if Duan Rufeng had said that he was here to look for the clan leader of the Dragon Clan. He was shocked to find out it was Diju he was looking for. Although Diju was a five-clawed golden dragon like the clan leader, he was still not fully grown. Let alone the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, he was far from being a match for Shui Chan even though he was strong. Mansion Master Duan, may I know the reason you're looking for Diju? Shui Chan asked hesitantly. He could tell the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion did not come with friendly intention. Shui Chan, must the Lord Mansion Master report to you when he comes looking for someone in the Dragon Clan? Ku Mi smirked as he stared at Shui Chan coldly. Although Shui Chan was a five-clawed golden dragon, Ku Mi did not fear him at all. To a certain extent, he and Shui Chan were old rivals. Although it was difficult for Ku Mi to defeat Shui Chan, the same goes for Shui Chan as well. That's not what I mean. If Ku Mi was alone, Shui Chan would not have been afraid. However, since Duan Rufeng was here, it would not do for him to lose his temper. Ku Mi alone is enough to restrain him, let alone Duan Rufeng who could easily defeat him. In the next moment, Duan Rufeng completely ignored Shui Chan and immediately walked deeper into the Dragon Clan's estate. At the same time, a powerful divine consciousness swept out from Duan Rufeng and enveloped more than half of the Dragon Clan's estate. It was as though he was turning the Dragon Clan inside out. Shui Chan also felt heavy pressure from the divine consciousness. Although it was not aimed at him, he felt breathless since he was close to it. I heard that Mansion Master Duan's strength is not inferior to all the sect leaders of the sects that are on par with the Azure Cloud Mansion even though he only rose up to his position not long ago, it seems like the rumor is not baseless. He's stronger than I thought. Shui Chan's heart jolted, he was on guard against Duan Rufeng. However, when he remembered how Duan Rufeng had acted so wantonly in the Dragon Clan's estate, anger rose up in his heart immediately. Mansion Master Duan, you. As soon Shui Chan opened his mouth to stop Duan Rufeng, he was interrupted by a black figure who had appeared out of nowhere to block his path. Shui Chan, I'd like to see if you've improved in these few years. The black figure was none other than Ku Mi. Ku Mi's skinny body was dressed entirely in black. His hand that was holding on to his cane was trembling with high frequency, and his eyes were shining brightly. It was as though he was prepared to make his move against Shui Chan at any moment now. If it was Ku Mi alone, Shui Chan would have long made his move. He did not fear Ku Mi even though he was blocking his path. However, it was impossible for him to block Duan Rufeng. Due to this reason, he did not make a move at all. Go look for clan leader. This was the only solution Shui Chan could come up with at the moment. In the Dragon Clan, the only person who could possibly stop Duan Rufeng was the clan leader. As soon as Shui Chan thought of this, he transformed into a streak of blood-red light and sailed across the sky, disappearing before Ku Mi's eyes. Ku Mi did not pursue him. Instead, he followed behind Duan Rufeng as they headed deeper into the Dragon Clan's estate. Ku Mi, you've met Diju before. Search for him. Although Duan Rufeng appeared calm, a murderous intent gleamed in the depth of his eyes. The five-clawed golden dragon called Diju had almost killed his son. Naturally, he felt enraged about it. In this world, there were two people who were completely irreplaceable to him. They were his wife, Li Ru, and his son, Duan Lingtian. The reason he left Duan Lingtian behind on Cloud Continent was so he could strengthen his foundation there, and when he came to the Dao Martial Saint Land, his strength would rise greatly. If it was not for this, he would have long brought Duan Lingtian to the Azure Cloud Mansion. Yes, Ku Mi quickly nodded as his eyes shone coldly. After he found out the young mansion master had almost been killed by Diju, his heart had been filled with remorse. After all, he knew about Diju passing by the district of the southern district of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Moreover, he had even spoken to Diju. However, he did not expect that Diju's target was young Mansion Master. Due to this reason, he did not stop Diju. If he had known Diju's target was young Mansion Master, he would not have allowed him to continue his way south. Due to remorse he felt, Qmi used his divine consciousness without restraint to search for Diju with all his might. Duan Rufeng and Qmi searched with all their might at the places they passed through with their divine consciousness. Naturally, this alerted many of the clansmen from the Dragon Clan. Initially, they were all furious, wanting to teach Duan Rufeng and Qmi a lesson. However, their tempers subsided after Qmi easily defeated them even after they reverted to their four-clawed divine dragon forms. Who are they? They're treating our Dragon Clan's estate like they're strolling around their own courtyard. Don't concede defeat. Go defeat them if you're capable of it. It's obvious the black-clad man is the subordinate of that middle-aged man, and yet he's able to defeat the four-clawed divine dragons in our clan. Unless the five-clawed divine dragon elders make their move, I'm afraid none of us is able to defeat him. Seeing how Duan Rufeng and Qmi were getting more and more unrestrained, the clansmen from the Dragon Clan could only watch at the side as a sense of helplessness rose in their hearts. At the same time, they were praying for the five-clawed divine dragon elders in their clan to make an appearance as soon as possible. Who are you? How dare you trespass into our Dragon Clan? Perhaps, the voices of the clansmen from the Dragon Clan was heard by God because soon after, a sturdy figure appeared before Duan Rufeng and Qmi accompanied by a thunderous voice. It was a sturdy old man dressed in green. As the sturdy old man hovered in the air, his eyes shone majestically, there was no hint of anger at all. It's Elder Qingyan. Elder Qingyan is a five-clawed divine dragon in our Dragon Clan. If he attacks, he'll be able to defeat the black-clad old man. Elder Qingyan, After the sturdy green-clad old man made his appearance, the eyes of the group of clansmen from the Dragon Clan who had feared Kumi's strength earlier lit up immediately. Duan Rufeng instantly frowned when the green-clad old man, Qingyan, blocked his way. He had a furious expression on his face. Scram! Qmi was even more direct since he instantly snarled loudly as he raised his hand. The air seemed to have frozen as dried branches appeared out of thin air in within 100-meter radius. Similar to vines, the dried branch bound Qingyan entirely in just a blink of an eye before tossing him aside as though he was just a toy. After Qingyan had been bound by the vine-like dried branches, he struggled as he tried to free himself. However, he could not break free of the restraints since he did not revert to his true form. Dried Woods Territory. Don't tell me you're Qmi from the Azure Cloud Mansion. When Qingyan was about to revert to his true form, the territory that restrained him reminded him of something. However, Qmi merely ignored him. After tossing him aside, he no longer bothered with him. He stood at the side, allowing Duan Rufeng to continue on his journey. As a five-clawed divine dragon, it was only natural that Qingyan was prideful. He flew into a rage when he saw Qmi ignoring him. Roar! Along with an earth-shattering dragon's roar, Qingyan reverted to his true form. A writhing green divine dragon that was several hundreds of meters long emerged. Based on the 5 sharp claws on each of his paw, it was obvious he was a 5-clawed green dragon. As the 5-clawed green dragon hovered in the sky, its body that was several hundreds of meters long almost covered the entire sky. It seemed as though dark clouds had gathered above the city. It was threateningly overwhelming. Elder Qingyan is getting serious. Many clansmen of the Dragon Clan's eyes lit up immediately as they watched with utmost concentration. Who's this black-clad old man? He's actually able to force Elder Qingyan to revert to his true form in such a short time. It really isn't easy. Some of the clansmen of the Dragon Clan were more perceptive. Did Elder Qingyan say this black-clad old man is Qmi from the Azure Cloud Mansion? One of the clansmen from the Dragon Clan asked skeptically. Azure Cloud Mansion, Qmi. Many clansmen from the Dragon Clan shook their heads. Most of them rarely venture out of the estate, so it was their first time hearing this name. I hope he's not that Qmi from the Azure Cloud Mansion. Otherwise, I'm afraid the outcome of Elder Qingyan is going to be grim. Some of the 4-clawed divine dragons who had heard of Qmi had hints of dread on their faces. Elder, is Qmi from the Azure Cloud Mansion really that powerful? Many younger dragons asked instantly, confused. Qmi of Azure Cloud Mansion is someone who's as famous as our Dragon Clan's enforcement elder, Elder Shui. Over several hundreds of years, Elder Shui and he fought more than 10 times. However, the results are always the same. It's a draw, one of the 4-clawed divine dragon's elders said with a glum expression. What? His words had shocked the young dragons in the surroundings. As members of the dragon clan, they knew how powerful Elder Shui was. His strength was ranked in the top 3 in the clan. Ku Mi from the Azure Cloud Mansion actually fought to a draw with Elder Shui repeatedly. Let's hope that he's not Ku Mi from the Azure Cloud Mansion. Many of the clansmen from the dragon clan immediately prayed inwardly. Unfortunately, their prayers were destined to go unanswered. Meanwhile, the elder of the dragon clan who had reverted to his true form, a 5-clawed green dragon, had already exchanged 10 moves with Ku Mi. Bang! A loud noise reverberated in the air. The skinny black-clad old man hovered in the air, still in the same spot. On the other hand, Elder Qing Yan in his huge true form had been slammed down by the blast, causing the mountain range in the surroundings to shake as though there was a violent earthquake. Chapter 1575. You can cast the dried woods territory, and you're so powerful, you must be Ku Mi. At this moment, the 5-clawed green dragon that had fallen and suffered heavy injuries rose up into the air again. When he looked at that skinny figure who was dressed completely in black, a hint of dread appeared in his eyes. Qing Yan, let's join forces. I don't believe we won't be able to defeat just one Ku Mi. Before Ku Mi could reply, Qing Yan the 5-clawed green dragon, an ancient voice reverberated in the air. Under the watchful eyes of the others, a grey-clad woman appeared and stared coldly at Ku Mi. Before the others had a chance to take a good look at her appearance, her human form had disappeared and was replaced by a writhing 5-clawed divine dragon that was also several hundreds of meters long. However, unlike the 5-clawed green dragon, she was purple in color. She was a 5-clawed purple dragon. Moreover, looking at the length of her body, she was obviously longer than the 5-clawed green dragon. In the dragon clan, the longer their true forms were, the more powerful they were. It's Elder Zijing. In our dragon clan, Elder Zijing's strength is only inferior to Elder Shui, who's a 5-clawed blood dragon. Now that she and Elder Qing Yan are joining forces, they'll be able to defeat Ku Mi from the Azure Cloud Mansion. The Azure Cloud Mansion's Ku Mi is very powerful and does indeed live up to his fame. However, he won't be able to defeat Elder Zijing and Elder Qing Yan if they join forces. After the 5-clawed purple dragon appeared, the group of clansmen from the dragon clan who were watching by the side were hopeful now. They were watching the scene unfolding before them with rapt attention. 2 5-clawed divine dragons fighting Ku Mi from the Azure Cloud Mansion. This was not something they could witness anytime. Ku Mi's expression had also turned glum after the 5-clawed purple dragon made her appearance. Humph. At this moment, when the group of clansmen from the dragon clan were anticipating the fight between Ku Mi and the 2 5-clawed divine dragons, Duan Rufeng, who had been temporarily forgotten, snorted coldly. This cold snort alone seemed to contain a powerful force, sending chills up the spines of all the clansmen present. In the next instant, they witnessed a scene they would never be able to forget in their entire lives. As the middle-aged man who came with Ku Mi casually raised his hand, the sky trembled and space seemed like it was about to rip open. At the same time, along with 2 loud noises that reverberated in the air, the group of clansmen from the dragon clan were shocked to see the 2 5-clawed divine dragons who looked majestic initially had been slammed down in just an instant as though they were crushed by a mountain. When the 2 5-clawed divine dragons were slammed down into the mountain range, it, naturally, caused a huge commotion as though an earthquake had taken place. The 5-clawed green dragon, in particular, who had been injured twice in such a short time, suffered even greater injuries. He could not help but throw up blood over and over again. The 5-clawed purple dragon's condition was not any better as well. Seeing how Ku Mi respectfully followed behind the middle-aged man who had just attacked them, a hint of panic flashed in the 5-clawed purple dragon's eyes as she asked in a trembling voice, "Why, you're the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion?" In her opinion, Ku Mi would only respectfully follow the current mansion master of the Azure Cloud Mansion, even though she had no idea why the Azure Cloud Mansion's mansion master would appear in their dragon clan bearing ill intention. "If you dare to move about again in front of me, you'll die." Duan Rufeng's expression remained calm. However, when he looked at the 5-clawed purple dragon, a sharp and cold look in his eyes appeared, causing the 5-clawed purple dragon's heart to tremble. She did not doubt his words at all. Thus, she remained there obediently without moving. The mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. When the five-clawed green dragon who was already severely injured heard the five-clawed purple dragon's words, he was so afraid that his sight went dark for a moment. He had almost fainted. The mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion was as powerful as the clan leader of the Dragon Clan. However, he had the audacity to display his incompetence before this master. He felt so remorseful that he wanted to dig a hole to bury himself in it. The mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. At the same time, horror also dawned on the group of clansmen from the Dragon Clan. Even the group of young dragons who rarely went out and did not know who Kuemi or the mansion master of the Azure Cloud Mansion had heard of the Azure Cloud Mansion. It was an extremely powerful force that was on par with their Dragon Clan. The Azure Cloud Mansion was a colossal force. Naturally, the mansion master was not inferior to the clan leader of the Dragon Clan. The moment they thought of the person they encountered whose strength was not inferior to their clan leader, the knees of the group of clansmen from the Dragon Clan instantly went weak. Some of the four-clawed divine dragons who were crying out had also obediently kept quiet. What a joke! The person before them was the mansion master of the Azure Cloud Mansion after all. Even if they were killed, their Dragon Clan might not have the power to avenge them at all. With just one move from Duan Rufeng, the two five-clawed divine dragon elders of the Dragon Clan immediately turned obedient, let alone the other clansmen. Just like this, Duan Rufeng and Kuemi continued to charge forward into Dragon Clan's hideaway. We made such a huge commotion, why did clan leader not show up? Not only the clan leader, even Elder Shui and the few other five-clawed divine dragons are also not here as well. The group of clansmen from the Dragon Clan began to feel restless and uneasy. The mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion had come with ill intention. However, the clan leader of the Dragon Clan and the few other five-clawed divine dragon elders still did not make an appearance after so long. The five-clawed green dragon, Qing Yan, who had changed into his human form, watched Duan Rufeng and Kumi's disappearing silhouette. He reassured the others as well. There's no need to panic, I'm sure the clan leader and the few elders are not here yet is because they're busy with something, they'll definitely come. Zijing the five-clawed purple dragon had also changed into her human form, an old woman, and said in her hoarse voice, although the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion is powerful, with clan leader's strength, I'm sure he doesn't fear him as well. After the two of the five-clawed divine dragon elders reassured the group of clansmen from the Dragon Clan, they began to calm down. I found him. Meanwhile, Kuemi, who was heading deeper into the hideaway and probing for Diju's whereabouts with his divine consciousness, finally found him. When he found him, Diju was in the midst of closed-door cultivation. It was because he was in closed-door cultivation that he did not make an appearance even though there was such a huge commotion outside. The poor Diju was at a critical juncture while he was in closed-door cultivation was suddenly interrupted by Kuemi, who barged in without warning and brought him out immediately. Although he was a five-clawed golden dragon, a prominent figure among the five-clawed divine dragons and part of the Dragon Clan's imperial family, he was not fully grown yet. His strength was only on par with Qing Yan, the five-clawed green dragon, who was ranked at the bottom of the group of the five-clawed divine dragon elders in the Dragon Clan. Naturally, he was no match for Kuemi at all. He did not even possess much strength to resist Kuemi. Diju, who was abruptly woken up and whose cultivation was interrupted, was, naturally, furious. However, when he saw the culprit was Kuemi, he tried his best to suppress his rage. He asked in his deep voice, "Senior Kuemi, what are you doing? Shouldn't you know about the good deeds you've done?" Kuemi snorted and raised his hand to slap Diju repeatedly until his mind turned blank. Kuemi, as a member of the Dragon Clan's imperial family, Diju, naturally, was more prideful compared to the other five-clawed divine dragons. It seemed as though he had completely forgotten Kuemi was stronger than him as he became furious to the extent that he reverted into his true form, the five-clawed golden dragon. However, how could he possibly be a match for Kuemi with his current strength? With a turn of his palm, Kuemi defeated him immediately. After forcing him to transform back into his human form, Kuemi carried him like a dead dog to Duan Rufeng. During the entire time, Diju was powerless to fight back. His eyes were round as he glared angrily at him. This was the first time in his life that he had been so greatly humiliated. He inwardly swore if he did not kill Kuemi, he would not be a dragon anymore. "You're Diju?" Duan Rufeng asked nonchalantly as he watched Kuemi carry Diju like a dead dog. Diju decided to endure it after he had been defeated by Kuemi. However, when someone else questioned him, he asked coldly, "Who are you?" It was as though he wanted to vent the anger he had suppressed on Duan Rufeng. Slap. When Diju's words left his mouth, it was as though a fuse had been lit. Who am I who respected Duan Rufeng like he respected God? Raised his hand to slap Diju again. Diju, how brave of you! How dare you act so rudely in front of the Lord Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion? You really don't want to live anymore, huh? The Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Diju, who was once again humiliated by Ku-mi, was about to retaliate when Kumi's words finally dawned on him. He was extremely shocked. The Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion was as powerful as the clan leader of the Dragon Clan. Even if Diju had grown into his power in the future, he might not even be a match for the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, let alone the current him. What was most important was he had also heard of the Azure Cloud Mansion Master's deeds. He knew the current Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion was truly powerful. He was much more powerful than the previous Mansion Masters of Azure Cloud Mansion. Rumor had it that the current Mansion Master of the Azure Cloud Mansion had not even reached the age of 100 years old yet. He was not even 100 years old, but he possessed strength on par with the clan leader of the Dragon Clan. Diju knew very well what this meant. Lord Mansion Master, why you're looking for me? Diju had also temporarily calmed down after he took a deep breath and cleared his mind. When Diju noticed the coldness in the eyes of the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, his heart turned cold. He could also faintly guess the reason for Kumi's rough treatment was due to the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. However, Diju found it strange since he had never offended the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Why was the Mansion Master looking at him as though he was an enemy of his? Lord Mansion Master, is there any misunderstanding between us? Diju began to panic even more when he saw Duan Rufeng keeping quiet. He was not afraid of Ku-mi. At that time when he had grown strong, he believed he could defeat and kill Ku-mi. As the saying went, one should bide one's time and wait for the right opportunity to seek revenge. However, he had no confidence when faced with the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Misunderstanding. Duan Rufeng chuckled coldly. You almost killed my son, do you think it's still a misunderstanding? Boom. When Duan Rufeng's words entered Diju's ears, he was so stunned as though lightning had struck him. Chapter 1576. Chapter 1577. Dishan, the clan leader of the Dragon Clan. Duan Rufeng's words were like a bolt of lightning to Diju. Diju immediately regained his senses and smiled wryly at Duan Rufeng. Lord Mansion Master, is there any misunderstanding? I've never even met your son. How could I possibly attack him to the point of killing him? At this moment, Diju felt wronged as though he was a young girl that had been taken advantage of. The middle-aged man before him was the Mansion Master of the Azure Cloud Mansion, a powerful force that was in no way inferior to their Dragon Clan. His strength was not inferior to the clan leader as well. Even if he was 100 times braver, he still would not dare to offend such a person. Looks like you refuse to give up until all hope is gone, huh? Duan Rufeng snorted coldly. He could not be bothered to explain more. However, the light in his eyes turned sharper as time went by. Diju, open up your ears and listen carefully. Duan Lingtian is the young Mansion Master of our Azure Cloud Mansion. Ku-mi said in a deep voice as killing intent gleamed in his eyes. Duan Lingtian. Kumi's words entered Diju's ears. It was as though a big stone had been thrown into a pool of still water, setting off splashes and ripples. Diju was once again shocked. Naturally, he was not unfamiliar with the name Duan Lingtian. The moment he recalled how Duan Lingtian had forced him into a disadvantageous position, his flame of anger did not subside at all. He was eager to catch Duan Lingtian and crush him until he turned into ashes. Moreover, he also suspected that his son had died in Duan Lingtian's hands. Due to this reason, he regarded Duan Lingtian as his mortal enemy. From the beginning until the end, he did not take Duan Lingtian seriously. In his eyes, Duan Lingtian was just a slick and malicious little fellow. If he had not been careless, he would not have fallen for his trick. In his opinion, that incident was completely humiliating. That humiliation could only be washed away by Duan Lingtian's blood. Elder Ku, are you mistaken? Your Azure Cloud Mansion is a powerful force that's on par with our Dragon Clan in the Dao Martial Saint Land. That Duan Lingtian is merely a lad from the mortal continent. It's impossible for him to have any connections with the Azure Cloud Mansion. Diju tried his luck as he took a deep breath. Diju, it seems like you're still unaware. Not only is our young mansion master from the mortal continent, but even our mansion master is from the mortal continent. Ku-mi smirked as soon as he heard Diju's words. Ku-mi's words had also completely crushed the tiny bit of hope left in Diju's heart. Horror dawned on Diju, an expression of terror appeared on his face. Duan Lingtian, whom he hated to the core, was the young mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. How was this possible? Even until now, Diju still found it hard to believe, even though the facts had been laid out in front of his eyes. You almost killed my son. I'm not qualified to be a father if I don't do anything about this. Duan Rufeng glanced indifferently at Diju. His voice was calm, but it was laced with a terrifying coldness. However, I won't bully you, I'll lower my cultivation base to your level, and if you can endure 10 blows from me, I won't kill you. Duan Rufeng's words brimmed with confidence. Lowering his level to his level. 10 blows. Diju's eyes lit up immediately when he heard Duan Rufeng's words, since he thought there was no way for him to avoid this disaster. In his opinion, he was 100% confident he would be able to defeat a human martial cultivator at the same level. Unfortunately, dreams were always more beautiful than reality. Duan Rufeng was not someone who could be compared to ordinary human martial cultivators. Diju had reverted into his true form, the 5-clawed golden dragon, and he endured 8 blows from Duan Rufeng. However, when Duan Rufeng's 9th blow landed, it severely injured Diju. The initially majestic 5-clawed gold dragon looked completely wretched, like a loach. Impossible. Diju, who was severely injured by Duan Rufeng, found it hard to accept this. He was certain Duan Rufeng had lowered his cultivation base to his level. However, in front of Duan Rufeng, it felt as though both his hands were bound. He could not attack at all. In his eyes, Duan Rufeng was like a tall, huge, and insurmountable mountain. Each and every move of Duan Rufeng seemed as though it could conquer heaven, pressuring him. Moreover, not only did he feel the pressure externally, but he felt it internally as well. It exhausted him, causing him to be on the verge of passing out. At this moment, he finally realized how terrifying the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion was. To think he has lowered his cultivation base to my level, if he didn't do that, just how terrifying is his strength? Even the clan leader is not this strong, right? At that moment, Diju was completely shocked by how powerful Duan Rufeng was, that he had completely forgotten about Duan Rufeng's earlier words. However, just as Duan Rufeng stopped attacking, his eyes gleaming murderously, Diju was hit with a pang of realization and instantly regained his senses. Horror dawned on his face right away. Mansion Master Duan, I admit that I did indeed almost kill Duan Lingtian. However, I wanted to kill him because he played a trick on me. Moreover, it's very likely he had killed my son. On the verge of death, Diju felt like he had nothing to lose anymore. He shouted, "Don't tell me your son is a son, Mansion Master Duan, but Diju's son is not a son. He killed my son, so are you trying to tell me that I shouldn't seek revenge? How is this fair?" Fair. When Duan Rufeng heard Diju's words, he smirked immediately. Diju, I'm afraid I'm not even a quarter of your age. In the Dao Martial Saint Land, it has always been the strong ones who rule, remember. In the face of someone powerful, there's no such thing as fairness. I'm sure you know about this, right? If you want to talk about fairness, all right then. Tell me, have you heard the members of my son's sect talk about fairness when you killed all of them? If you really want fairness, let me tell you then. I, Duan Rufeng, am fair. In a rare moment, Duan Rufeng spilled all these words out. Perhaps, he would be happy only if Diju died, or perhaps, there was another reason. The moment the words left his mouth, the aura on his body changed completely. The air in the surroundings trembled as though the apocalypse was coming. The moment his words left his mouth, the aura on his body had completely changed. The terrifying aura on Duan Rufeng intensified in just a blink of an eye, transforming into a black flame that surged up into the sky as though it was going to set the sky on fire. Whoosh! As the black flame skyrocketed, half of the sky was enveloped by the black flame. Whether it was Duan Rufeng, Ku-mi who was standing behind him, or Diju who was standing in front of him, all of them were shrouded in that black flame as well. An aura of destruction wafted out in the wake of the black flame as it soared up. Even the group of clansmen in the distance could sense the destructive aura. Horror immediately dawned on the clansmen of the Dragon Clan with a lower cultivation base. Blood spurted out of their 7 orifices, it was obvious they all suffered from quite a heavy injury. This happened to them even though they were all standing quite a distance away. There was no doubt Diju, who was standing in the middle of the black flame, suffered the most. In Kumi's opinion, there was no doubt Diju would die now that the mansion master had made his move. However, at this moment, Duan Rufeng did not seem to derive joy from killing Diju at all. He furrowed his brows as he snarled coldly, "Di Shan, you finally came." Di Shan. When Qmi heard his mansion master's words, his heart jolted. Naturally, he was not unfamiliar with the name Di Shan. It was the name of the current clan leader of the Dragon Clan. If there was anybody in the Dragon Clan that he dreaded the most, it was undoubtedly Di Shan. As the clan leader of the Dragon Clan, Di Shan was someone who was comparable to his mansion master. He was not someone Qmi could compare to. As the black flame in the air dissipated just like the dark night turning into day, Diju, who should have died, was covered in a layer of golden light. It even had solidified streaks of light moving non-stop like tiny dragons. Inside this huge golden layer of light, apart from Diju, a sturdy old man was also standing in it. Dressed in a long golden robe, the old man seemed to have blended into the background as he stood there, emitting a heavy pressure. Naturally, Duan Rufeng was unaffected by the pressure. However, Qmi was not unaffected. His face was glum. It was obvious he was trying his best to resist the pressure. This old man was none other than the current clan leader of the Dragon Clan, Di Shan. Whoosh, 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 comma. At this moment, 5 figures appeared behind Di Shan in unison, including Qing Yan, the 5-clawed green dragon, and Zi Jing, the 5-clawed purple dragon, who was easily defeated by Duan Rufeng. They all shielded Diju like the stars surrounding the moon. Among the 5 figures, apart from Qing Yan, Zi Jing, and Shui Chan, there were another 2 old men. From the aura the 2 old men emanated, it was apparent that although their strength was not on par with Shui Chan, they were not inferior to Zi Jing. They were the 2 of the 3 5-clawed divine dragons in the Dragon Clan. In the Dragon Clan, there had always been 5 5-clawed divine dragons. This year, the emergence of Di Yong, the 5-clawed devil dragon, had occupied 1 slot, so the Dragon Clan only had 4 5-clawed divine dragons. At this moment, apart from 1 5-clawed divine dragon who was not in the clan, all of them were gathered and glaring viciously at Duan Rufeng. However, even when faced with the 5-clawed divine dragons, Duan Rufeng's expression did not falter. It was as though he was facing ordinary humans instead of 5-clawed divine dragons. One of the 2 5-clawed divine dragon elders who did not make an appearance earlier stepped out and stared at Duan Rufeng coldly as he asked in a deep voice, "Mansion Master Duan, I don't mind if you trespass into my Dragon Clan, but you actually want to kill the next clan leader of my Dragon Clan? Do you really think there's no one powerful in the Dragon Clan?" When Duan Rufeng ignored this 5-clawed divine dragon, Qmi stepped out and glared at the other party before asking coldly, "Who are you to take that tone with my mansion master?" Chapter 1577. The old man was so angry that his face turned completely red. His eyes shone coldly as he said in his deep voice, "Qmi, this is the Dragon Clan, not your Azure Cloud Mansion." Just as Qmi was about to speak again, Di Shan opened his mouth and said to the old man, "Retreat." Although the old man was a 5-clawed divine dragon elder, he still did not dare to overstep the boundary in front of the clan leader of the Dragon Clan. He retreated obediently. However, he still looked at Qmi coldly. "What, do you want to fight?" Qmi mocked when he noticed the cold gleam in the old man's eyes. "It's not that I look down on you, but there are only 3 people I dread in your Dragon Clan, and you're not one of them." When the old man heard this, his face turned red again, but he had no comeback at all. This was something he could not refute. Although he was glaring angrily at Qmi, he knew very well in his heart he was no match for Qmi. In their Dragon Clan, only 2 people could defeat Qmi, and one was on par with him. The remaining others were no match for him at all. Qmi retreated to stand behind Duan Rufeng when he saw the old man no longer dared to say anything. Looking at Duan Rufeng, Di Shan asked calmly, "Mansion Master Duan, I wonder how Diju had offended you?" It was as though he was not affected by the fact that Diju had almost been killed. "Di Shan, if somebody almost killed your son, what would you do?" Duan Rufeng mocked as he looked at Di Shan indifferently. When Di Shan heard his words, he could not help but frown. He had just arrived, so he was not privy to the matter that had transpired. He instantly turned to look at Diju. His son is Duan Lingtian. Diju, who had escaped death, appeared much more at ease now. When he saw clan leader Deshaun had shifted his focus to him, he instantly transmitted his voice to explain. His voice was filled with a hint of bitterness and helplessness. Although he did not let go of his hatred toward Duan Lingtian, his father was the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Thus, at this moment, he could only yield since he was no match for the mansion master. If he had blindly fought him, it would just be like a mantis trying to block a chariot. Duan Lingtian. When Deshaun heard Diju's words, he furrowed his brows immediately. Naturally, this name was not unfamiliar to him. This was the person whom Diju had asked him to find. He was Diju's enemy, and he had claimed that this person had killed his son. He did not expect the lad from the mortal continent would turn out to be the son of Duan Rufeng, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Although Duan Rufeng's age was barely a fraction of his age, he knew how terrifying this mansion master Duan was. Rumor had it that the previous mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion who was just slightly weaker than him was killed by Duan Rufeng. It was due to this reason that Duan Rufeng rose up to become the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Although he had not fought Duan Rufeng before, he knew he might not win if they fought. Deshaun, regarding today's matter, I'll leave if he dies, Duan Rufeng said nonchalantly. His voice brooked no argument. After hearing Duan Rufeng's words, the group of 5-clawed divine dragon elders, including Shui Chan, turned grave immediately. In the end, it was still Shui Chan who stepped out and asked in a deep voice, Mansion Master Duan, I wonder how did Diju offend you to the point that you want to kill him? Shui Chan, I'm warning you. It's better for you to stay out of this matter, Who am I said coldly when he saw Duan Rufeng had no intention of replying Who am I, even if Lord Mansion Master kills this Diju from your dragon clan, he only has himself to blame. Do you know he almost killed our young Mansion Master? Young Mansion Master is our Lord Mansion Master's only son. What? The moment Kumi's words left his mouth, apart from Diju and Deshaun who already knew about this matter, the other 5-clawed divine dragon elders, including Shui Chan, was horrified. All their attention shifted to Diju at once. Diju, is this true? Shui Chan asked in a deep voice. Seeing Diju did not deny it, the few 5-clawed divine dragon elders turned grave immediately, scolding Diju inwardly for acting so recklessly and bringing such a terrifying enemy to the dragon clan. Although they felt that Diju was at fault, this was still the dragon clan after all. They were the 5-clawed divine dragon elders of the dragon clan. Naturally, their top priority was the welfare of their clan. They would not reveal their internal conflict to outsiders. Who am I? Is there some sort of misunderstanding? Shui Chan asked in a deep voice as he looked at Who am I? Misunderstanding? Who am I snorted. If we really want to talk about misunderstandings, then it should be your dragon clan's Diju who misunderstood our young Mansion Master, right? Let alone the fact that young Mansion Master might not have even killed his son. Even if he did, it seems like he had only helped your dragon clan to get rid of its scourge, right? Don't tell me your dragon clan intends to let that 5-clawed devil dragon grow. 5-clawed devil dragon. The moment Kumi's words left his mouth, Diju's expression changed immediately. He did not expect Who am I to reveal this. 5-clawed devil dragons were taboo in the dragon clan. His son, Di Yong, should have been killed. He had used deception and saved Di Yong's life. Although he had saved Di Yong's life, he did not dare to let him remain in the Dao Martial Saint Land. Instead, he sent Diju to the Half-Moon Island near the mortal continent, Cloud Continent. Only he alone knew about this matter. Although many people in the clan suspected his son, Di Yong, was still alive, they could not do anything at all since they had no proof and could not find Di Yong. However, now that Who am I had revealed this matter, an ominous feeling rose up in his heart. Deshaun, the clan leader of the dragon clan, stared at Who am I calmly. However, at this moment, a cold glint flashed in his eyes. It was obvious he was unhappy that Who am I had revealed this matter about the 5-clawed devil dragon. However, Who am I who had Duan Rufeng's support did not seem to fear Deshaun at all. Instead, he continued to mock as he said to the group of 5-clawed divine dragon elders, what? All of you didn't know Diju's son, that 5-clawed devil dragon, had died a few years ago. I must say, your dragon clan's really lucky. Although that 5-clawed devil dragon managed to survive the first time, he still died in the end. Otherwise, if he had grown strong, he would definitely bring disaster to your dragon clan. All of you must not have forgotten the ancestral lesson of your dragon clan, right? The ancestral lesson of the dragon clan stated that one must kill a 5-clawed devil dragon immediately to avoid future trouble. Di, your son was actually alive. Zijing's face was ashen as she looked at Di. The other 5-clawed divine dragon elders did not have a good expression on their faces either. Tisk tisk, looks like all of you were kept in the dark, huh? Qmi shook his head and clicked his tongue. Then I'm sure all of you must not know that the young man, Duan Lingtian, that your dragon clan has been searching for without any restraint recently might even be a great benefactor of your dragon clan. Moreover, he's also my young mansion master. Kumi's words were like an atomic bomb. Naturally, they all knew the clan had been searching for someone called Duan Lingtian recently. However, they had thought the clan leader wanted to look for him, not Di. All of the 5-clawed divine dragon elders, including Shui Chan, shifted their attention to the clan leader of the dragon clan. They looked at him in confusion as though waiting for a clear answer from Di Shan. Di Shan nodded. Since the matter had developed to this extent, he knew he could no longer keep it a secret. Shui Chan and the others' faces turned grave immediately. After such a long time, as it turned out, Di was the one who was causing trouble. The mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion coming here to kill Di was not without reason as well. Their dragon clan was really in the wrong. When Duan Rufeng and the 7 5-clawed divine dragons of the dragon clans were locked in a stalemate, at the faraway Windfall Nation's capital, Duan Lingtian had also left the capital with Situ Hang, the great young master of Situ clan, and Situ Hu, the supreme elder of Situ clan, to head to the Drift Blaze sect to challenge the Drift Blaze sect's disciple who was ranked 23rd in the heaven ranking, Lady Feng. Chapter 1578. At this moment, it had been almost 2 weeks since the Situ clan issued a dual invitation to Lady Feng from the Drift Blaze sect on behalf of Master Duan. During these 2 weeks, the news of the upcoming battle had also been spread out by some Drift Blaze sect's disciples. It did not take too long before more than half of the people in Windfall Nation found out about this. This battle immediately became one of the hottest news, catching the interest of more than half of the people of Windfall Nation. It was to the point that many people from different forces sent out visitation letters, stating their intent to visit Drift Blaze sect to witness the battle. Almost everybody in Windfall Nation knew who Lady Feng of Drift Blaze sect was. She rose to fame a year ago when she entered the heaven ranking. Ever since then, her name had spread far and wide. Half a year later, she became even more famous. Her name became a household name. Moreover, her fame had even spread to the Southern Ridge Yuan Mansion. This was because 6 months after Lady Feng had entered the bottom of the heaven ranking, she made a move and defeated the person who was ranked 23rd in the heaven ranking and took over his ranking. At this moment, another 6 months had passed since she ranked 23rd in the heaven ranking. Based on the improvement Lady Feng had demonstrated from the past 6 months, most people were certain she possessed the ability to enter the top 10 of the heaven ranking. Naturally, she would have to leave Windfall Nation if she wanted to enter the top 10 of the heaven ranking. This was because none of the powerhouses at the peak of the Saint Rudiment stage who ranked in the top 10 was in Windfall Nation. Not many people knew about that interim advisor of Situ clan, Master Duan, who issued the dual invitation. In fact, nobody had heard of this name at all in Windfall Nation. During these 2 weeks, some people had deliberately inquired about Master Duan, the interim advisor of Situ clan. Master Duan appeared 2 months ago in the Situ clan. As soon as he appeared, he had cured the Situ clan's great young master, Situ Hang's weird illness. Prior to this, everyone was certain Situ Hang would die. After all, even the 4-star saint inscription masters in Windfall Nation's imperial family were confounded by the illness. Moreover, they even said he was not ill but was bewitched and cursed with some dirty things. When the 4-star saint inscription masters of the imperial family announced that Situ Hang could not be cured and everyone thought there was no chance for him to survive, Master Duan made his appearance. The moment he appeared, he pulled Situ Hang out of Hell's Gate in just a month and a half. Situ Hang was completely healed as though he had never been sick at all. Moreover, people also heard that Situ Hang, the great young master of Situ clan, would accompany Master Duan to the Drift Blaze sect on the day of the battle with Lady Feng. Everyone was shocked. Who was Master Duan exactly? He could even cure the strange illness that 4-star saint inscription masters who excelled in medicine refining Tao could not. This was completely miraculous. Some people even tried to dig up more information about the interim advisor, Master Duan of Situ clan, but they could not even find out his name. They only knew the people in Situ clan, including the clan leader, addressed him as Master Duan. This Master Duan seemed to have appeared out of thin air in Windfall Nation, and nobody could find out about where he came from. In the eyes of the people of Windfall Nation, Duan Ling Tien, the interim advisor of Situ clan, was veiled in mystery. In fact, many of those people from various sects who had issued visitation letters to the Drift Blaze sect to watch the Heaven Rankings battle actually wanted to see the mysterious interim advisor of Situ clan, Master Duan, more. They wanted to know who he was. Among all the sects, those that were most restless were those that had conflicts with the Situ clan. They had been fighting with each other, covertly and overtly, for many years. They all knew the Situ clan very well. Now that this Master Duan appeared, it gave them a sense of pressure. Naturally, this was not because of Master Duan's strength. The fact that he issued a challenge to a Heaven Rankings powerhouse was enough to show that he was only a Saint Rudiment stage martial or Dao cultivator. It was not a big threat to them. The pressure they felt was mostly from the mystery surrounding Master Duan. After all, he had actually healed a strange illness that confused 4-star Saint Inscription Masters and a group of Saint stage powerhouses. This was not something Saint Rudiment stage martial or Dao cultivators were capable of. Due to this reason, Duan Ling Tian's fame had begun to spread in Windfall Nation even before the day of the battle with Lady Feng from Drift Blaze sect. The reason for his fame was, naturally, due to him curing Situ Hang. Prior to this, Situ Hang's strange illness had also spread out in all of Windfall Nation. Many people came from afar to the capital to try and cure the strange illness and obtain the reward. However, none of them succeeded. When Duan Ling Tian learned about this from Situ Hang, he was surprised. Master Duan, your name is spreading in Windfall Nation now. Even if you lose to Drift Blaze sect's Lady Feng, your name will sweep through the entire Windfall Nation like a typhoon. At that time, if your senior brother is in Windfall Nation, he'll find out you're in Situ clan and come here to find you, Situ Hang said with a smile. When Duan Ling Tian heard Situ Hang's words, he shook his head and smiled before he teasingly asked, "What? You don't have much faith in me, do you, young Master Hang?" Upon hearing that, Situ Hang smiled awkwardly before he quickly added, "Of course not. I'm just voicing out one of the possibilities." Although he indeed felt that it was impossible for Duan Ling Tian to defeat Lady Feng from Drift Blaze sect, he did not dare to say it out loud in fear of angering him. However, he had underestimated Duan Ling Tian's wit. When the words had accidentally left his mouth earlier, Duan Ling Tian already knew what he was thinking. However, he was not bothered by it. This was because Duan Ling Tian knew very well that even if he had a silver tongue, it would still be hard to convince people of some matters. There was only one way to convince them, and it was to prove it with action. Due to this reason, Duan Ling Tian did not continue on this topic after listening to Situ Hang's explanation. Instead, he changed the topic. He looked at Situ Hang and asked, "Young Master Hang, there's another month to go before Situ Zhou completes his punishment of reflecting for 3 months. At that time, he'll able to leave the enforcement hall. Who knows what kind of method he'll use next to harm you? What are your plans?" When Situ Hang heard the name Situ Zhou, a layer of frost seemed to appear on his face. Situ Zhou was the one who had almost caused his death. Since he and his father could not afford to be hostile towards Situ Ming's side due to certain reasons, they could only downplay the matter and close the case with the death of the devil cultivator. However, he still found it impossible to let go of it in his heart. He had almost died after all. If he died, he could easily imagine how the Situ clan would fall into Situ Ming's hands in the future. If Situ Zhou became the clan leader of Situ clan, with his ruthlessness, he did not have to guess the outcome of his and his father's men. They would undoubtedly meet a horrible end. Master Duan, although I've heard about some of the things Situ Zhou had done, I didn't think he would act so viciously toward me. Now that I've fallen for it once, I'll not fall for it the second time. After taking a deep breath, Situ Hang replied in a tone that was neither hurried nor slow. His voice also turned cold, giving the listener a feeling as though they had fallen into a thaw hole. "It's good that you realize this." Duan Ling Tian smiled nonchalantly. He had quite a good opinion of Situ Hang. As for that Situ Zhou, he did not have any favorable impression of him at all. "Just let me know if you need any favor from me," Duan Ling Tian added again. "Thank you, Master Duan." When Situ Hang heard Duan Ling Tian's words, his eyes lit up immediately. He quickly bowed to express his gratitude. His posture was one reserved for respecting seniors. Although Duan Ling Tian might be a year or two younger than him, he regarded Duan Ling Tian highly in his heart. Due to this reason, he had never thought of him as his junior. Glancing at the blazing sun by the horizon, Duan Ling Tian smiled as he asked, based on our speed, we should be able to arrive at the Drift Blaze sect this afternoon, right? Yes, we'll able to arrive in the afternoon. Situ Hang nodded. After we've arrived, we'll rest in Drift Blaze sect for one night. Tomorrow, we'll stroll around the sect's estate to familiarize ourselves with the environment as guests. The battle between you and Lady Feng is set for the day after tomorrow. Alright, I'll follow your arrangement. Duan Lingtian nodded. Although Situ Hang was not much older than him, Duan Lingtian could not compare to him in regards to handling trivial matters. The saying, "one is a master in one's own field," must have referred to this. Naturally, Situ Hang and Situ Hu was not the only one who left the capital of Windfall Nation with him. There were another 5 people who had gone into hiding, tailing them. If it was not for his anti-tracking experience in his past life, he might not have discovered these 5 men. These 5 men hid in the dark. Like several torpid poisonous snakes, they might strike to wound or kill at any time. 5 imminent saint stage powerhouses, moreover, they must have cultivated some secret tactic to conceal themselves. Apart from me, nobody below the saint stage would be able to detect their presence. After Duan Lingtian activated his divine eye, he could clearly sense the powerful aura faintly emanating out of the 5 men hidden in the dark. Although they had concealed themselves, they were still unable to escape Duan Lingtian's divine eye and were completely exposed before him. Chapter 1579. Duan Lingtian was certain they were at the imminent saint stage because their auras were similar to the aura of the vice sect leaders of Moon Illumination sect. Now that Duan Lingtian's cultivation base had risen to the paramount saint rudiment stage, his perception had gotten even sharper and keener. He was certain these 5 men had been following them since they left the Situ clan. Don't tell me they're 5 of the 18 shadow guards from the Situ clan. When Duan Lingtian recalled some of the things that he had heard while he was in the Situ clan, he speculated inwardly. During the time he was in the Situ clan, he had vaguely overheard some secrets from the Situ clan's lineal disciples. One of them was the Situ clan's 18 shadow guards. It was said that the 18 shadow guards of Situ clan were mostly at the imminent saint stage. Perhaps, all of them could not be compared to the powerhouses on the heaven ranking. However, due to how well they had concealed themselves, even the powerhouses from the heaven ranking could not do anything to them. Moreover, if the powerhouses from the heaven ranking were careless, the 18 shadow guards might be able to kill them as well. This was how terrifying the shadow guards were. They were all under the direct control of the sect leader. Due to this reason, he thought these 5 men were shadow guards sent by Situ Hao, the clan leader of Situ clan. The clan leader of Situ clan really had put in a lot of thoughts and efforts into this. We don't need to worry about any sudden emergency during the journey with the shadow guards guarding us, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. However, Situ clan's really terrifying. The Moon Illumination sect is also a 7th-rate force, but it's far from being comparable to the Situ clan. The number of saint stage powerhouses might be the same in both the Situ clan and Moon Illumination sect. However, the Moon Illumination sect was clearly lacking in imminent saint stage powerhouses in comparison to the Situ clan. In the Moon Illumination sect, only the few vice sect leaders were at the imminent saint stage. However, in the Situ clan, put aside those imminent saint stage elders, most of the 18 shadow guards were at the imminent saint stage. The Moon Illumination sect could not compete with the Situ clan at all in this regard. Now that they had 5 shadow guards hiding in the dark to guard them, Duan Lingtian, Situ Hang, and Situ Hu did not meet with any obstacles during their journey. They successfully arrived at the Drift Blaze sect without any incidents. The Drift Blaze sect was similar to the Moon Illumination sect, it was hidden in a range of mountains. However, the Drift Blaze sect's estate was situated in between a group of dormant and active volcanoes, so they seemed more outstanding compared to the Moon Illumination sect. During their journey, Duan Lingtian had learned about the Drift Blaze sect from Situ Hang. He found out that the Drift Blaze sect was a 7th-rate force that was even more powerful than the Situ clan. This was due to the sect leader of the sect. The sect leader of Drift Blaze sect was a female powerhouse called Ziyun. She was so powerful that she was known as being invincible among the 7th-rate forces in Windfall Nation. Moreover, this was also publicly acknowledged by many saint stage powerhouses from various sects. Even the imperial family avoided offending the Drift Blaze sect due to Ziyun. Moreover, rumor had it that very few people from the imperial family of Windfall Nation were able to defeat her. Duan Lingtian was stunned when he learned about how powerful Ziyun, the sect leader of Drift Blaze sect, was. It did not cross his mind that a female powerhouse would be able to rise to such a level in the vast Windfall Nation. It was really mind-boggling. Moreover, he also learned that Lady Feng, who was ranked 23rd on the heaven ranking and whom he had challenged, was Zi Yun's direct disciple. Duan Lingtian could not help but muse to himself, like teacher like pupil. Duan Lingtian knew with Lady Feng's potential, it was not impossible for her to surpass her master, Zi Yun, in the future if her cultivation progressed smoothly. Duan Lingtian was curious about Zi Yun, the sect leader of Drift Blaze sect, after learning about her from Situ Hang. He was curious about what kind of woman she was to be able to lead a seventh-rate force into becoming a force that was acknowledged by everyone under the Windfall Nation's imperial family. In the Dao Martial Saint Land, it was always the strong one who ruled. Perhaps the Drift Blaze sect could not even compare to other seventh-rate forces if it was not for Zi Yun. It was her existence that made the sect surpass the other seventh-rate forces. In the Dao Martial Saint Land, it was not impossible for one person to hold up a sect all on their own if they were powerful enough. When they arrived at the Drift Blaze sect, a sect disciple welcomed and greeted them perfunctorily. However, Duan Lingtian noticed that after the Drift Blaze sect's disciple who welcomed the three of them found out that he was the interim advisor of Situ clan, Master Duan, there was a hint of pity in his eyes. It seems like they have full confidence in Lady Feng. It was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to figure out what that look meant. He was very curious about what kind of woman Lady Feng was to have such extraordinary achievements in such a short time. At this moment, he could not wait to meet her. However, he learned from Situ Heng that he would have to wait until the day after tomorrow, the day of the battle, to see her. It was almost impossible for him to meet her before then. This was not because Lady Feng was preparing for the duel, it was just that she was always in the sect's forbidden area. Even many of the inner and outer court disciples rarely saw her. Even the disciple who had seen her the most times in this past year had only seen her a few times. All of this made Lady Feng seem even more mysterious, causing Duan Lingtian to feel even more curious. Although the attitude of the Drift Blaze sect's disciples toward Duan Lingtian and the others were not really good, they still arranged accommodations for them. It was a mansion located in the middle of a mountain among the dormant volcanoes in the outer court. The place was very clean. It was obvious the Drift Blaze sect had made preparation beforehand. This place will be the residence for the three of you. Please have a good rest tonight. Early in the morning tomorrow, our Grand Elder will come to look for you, the Drift Blaze sect's disciple said to Duan Lingtian and the other two men before he left. It was as though he was unwilling to stay a second longer. Duan Lingtian exchanged glances with the other two before they shook their heads and chuckled. Then, all of them entered the mansion and found a room to stay in. Meanwhile, at the Dragon Clan, Duan Rufeng began to feel impatient. Ever since Qmi revealed the truth of the matter, the 5-5-clawed divine dragon elders from the Dragon Clan were clearly unhappy with Diju. At this moment, Di Shan, the clan leader of the Dragon Clan, motioned to Duan Rufeng and suggested a discussion to come up with a solution that would satisfy him. Duan Rufeng had waited the entire afternoon. If it was not for the fact that he was somewhat cautious of Di Shan, it would be impossible for Duan Rufeng, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, to have waited this long. However, a whole afternoon had gone by and Duan Rufeng could no longer stand it. All of you have discussed for an entire afternoon, and you still haven't come up with a solution. Duan Rufeng's tone was filled with annoyance, causing Di Shan and the others to regain their senses. Apart from Diju who was standing at the side, not participating in the discussion, the 5-5-clawed divine dragons with Shui Chan as the leader, transmitted their voices to Di Shan, the clan leader of the Dragon Clan, as they discussed how to solve this problem. After all, it was indeed their Dragon Clan who was in the wrong. Let alone the fact that the son of the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion might not have killed Diju's son, even if he did, he was helping their Dragon Clan to get rid of its scourge. Just imagining the danger of a 5-clawed devil dragon terrified the 5-5-clawed divine dragons, including Shui Chan. They believed if news of this spread to the clansmen in the Dragon Clan, Diju would definitely become a target. As for the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, although he was rude when he trespassed into the Dragon Clan by force, none of the clansmen would blame him for it if they found out about this. In their opinion, he was innocent. Moreover, he might even be the father of their benefactor. Although the Dragon's clan was very prideful, they were still a clan that knew how to feel grateful. They were not ingrates nor were they treacherous. They would remember it for life if somebody had helped them. As the clan leader of the Dragon Clan, Di Shan had a say in many things, and he did not have to consider the feelings of the other clansmen or the few 5-clawed divine dragons. However, he was wrong in the matter regarding Diju. After all, he had long known Diju's son was still alive before he was killed. In the end, he even helped Diju and ordered his clansmen who were scattered all over the Dao Martial Saint Land to search for Duan Lingtian with all their might. Due to this reason, Diju knew he could not ignore the opinions of this few five-clawed divine dragons regarding this matter. However, during the entire course of the discussion, Dishan had stood firmly by his decision. Diju must not die. Diju was not only a five-clawed divine dragon, but he was also a five-clawed golden dragon as well. He was to become the next clan leader of the Dragon Clan. If he died, the Dragon Clan would lose their successor. In the Dragon Clan, all of the candidates for the clan leader's position were five-clawed golden dragons. This was also a law the clan had abided by since ancient times. If a clansman was not a five-clawed golden dragon, it was impossible for him to become the clan leader no matter how outstanding he was. The five-clawed golden dragon represented the Dragon Clan. It was irreplaceable by other five-clawed divine dragons. Mansion Master Duan, Di-san said in a deep voice as he looked at Duan Rufeng, "Our Dragon Clan will compensate you regarding this matter. It's good that you're willing to compensate me. Tell me, what do you plan to do? Should I bring him away from your sight and kill him, or should I just kill him in front of all of you?" Duan Rufeng asked as he looked at Dishan indifferently. Upon hearing Duan Rufeng's words, horror dawned on Diju's face immediately. He quickly turned to look at Dishan anxiously. He was really afraid Dishan would forsake him. The proverb, "concern is disorderly," undoubtedly described Diju's current situation. At this moment, Diju seemed to have forgotten he was the only five-clawed golden dragon apart from Dishan, the clan leader of the Dragon Clan. No matter how many mistakes he made, it was impossible for the clan to forsake the legacy of the Dragon Clan and kill him. Chapter 1580, Mansion Master Duan. As the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, you must know our Dragon Clan quite well. If Diju's not a five-clawed golden dragon, it wouldn't matter if I hand him over to you since he had made a mistake, Dishan replied as he looked at Duan Rufeng. However, it just so happens that he's a five-clawed golden dragon. I'm sure you know what a five-clawed golden dragon means to our Dragon Clan, Mansion Master Duan. We won't hand him over to be killed just like that. Dishan's words were absolute, leaving no room for discussion. Exactly. At this moment, even the five-clawed divine dragon elders, including Shui Chan, who itched to give Diju a good beating, also nodded their heads one by one. They were standing by the clan leader's side unconditionally on this matter. If Diju was not a five-clawed golden dragon, even they themselves would not have let Diju go. Duan Rufeng would not even have to do anything. However, since Diju was a five-clawed golden dragon and a part of their Dragon Clan, they had no choice but to protect Diju for the sake of the Dragon Clan's overall interest. Diju represented the future of the Dragon Clan after all. Although the current clan leader of the Dragon Clan, Dishan's life was almost eternal, according to the Dragon Clan's law, he had to leave the Dragon Clan after 1,000 years. To be more precise, he had to leave the Dragon Clan in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. When the time came, he would have to go to the Dragon Clan in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. This was the mission of the five-clawed golden dragons from the Dragon Clan's imperial family. It was a law made by the upper province's Dragon Clan. Even Dishan could not disobey the law. After Dishan's departure, they would need a new clan leader in the lower province's Dragon Clan. The clan leader could only be a five-clawed golden dragon. Currently, in the lower province's Dragon Clan, Diju was the only five-clawed golden dragon. Due to this reason, Diju was destined to become the clan leader of the Dragon Clan. Although the group of five-clawed divine dragon elders, with Shui Chan as their leader, was annoyed by the problems Diju had caused, they had no other choice at all. If there was another five-clawed golden dragon in the clan now, they would not be protecting Diju to such a ridiculous extent. After hearing clan leader Dishan's words, Diju heaved a sigh of relief. At this moment, he had also realized he had been muddle-headed because he was too worried. As a five-clawed golden dragon, he was the successor of the Dragon Clan after all. Dishan, I'm not interested in what a five-clawed golden dragon means to your Dragon Clan. I only know that Diju almost killed my son. On top of that, your Dragon Clan actually dares to search for my son. Did you plan to hand my son over to Diju after you've found him so Diju can kill him? When Duan Rufeng reached the end of his sentence, the anger in voice intensified as well. Now that Duan Rufeng's anger had risen, the hairband holding his hair up suddenly snapped, causing his hair to billow even though there was no wind. His long hair that was similar to writhing pythons added to his devilish aura. At the same time, the aura on his body had completely changed as well. His eyes that were originally black seemed to gain a red gleam. Murderous intent surged out of his body and swept toward the 7 5-clawed divine dragons. Apart from Di Shan, horror dawned on Di Ju and the 5 5-clawed divine dragon elders, including Shui Chan, immediately. Di Ju and Qing Yan, whose cultivation base were much weaker, were so affected by the murderous intent that their faces turned red before they began to throw up blood. Whoosh, 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 comma. Meanwhile, the sky around Duan Rufeng began to distort. Many trees and plants in the forest fell down. Even the clansmen from the dragon clan in the distance felt the pressure. All of them hurriedly retreated, in fear of becoming a victim of the disaster. What a powerful aura! After the group of dragon clan's 4-clawed divine dragons retreated, each of them had a grave expression on their faces as their eyes gleamed with a hint of horror. The other clansmen from the dragon clan, on the other hand, had been long frightened to their cores. This is the aura of the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Currently, Duan Rufeng was like a devil god who ruled the world. The majestic devil god was completely unstoppable. Mansion Master Duan, do you really intend to escalate the matter to this extent? Di Shan's face turned grave as golden rays shone out of his body. At that instant, he transformed into a 5-clawed golden dragon that was about 1,000 meters long. His manner was majestic and imposing. It was not something the 5-clawed green dragon and the 5-clawed purple dragon could replicate. The moment the 1,000 meters long 5-clawed golden dragon appeared, it writhed in the sky, blocking the blazing sun and causing half the dragon clan's estate to be shrouded in darkness. That's the clan leader's true form. At this moment, the group clansmen from the dragon clan who were hiding far away saw Di Shan's true form when they raised their heads. The shock was clearly written on each of their faces. Since the clan leader has reverted to his true form, does this mean he's going to fight with the mansion master of Azure Cloud Palace? Horror dawned on many of the clansmen from the dragon clan. If these two powerhouses who stood at the summit of the Dao Martial Saint Land's lower province really fought, it was very likely that more than half of the dragon clan's estate would be destroyed. Di Shan, it seems like you really intend to fight with me. Faced with Di Shan, who had reverted to his true form, Duan Rufeng maintained his composure. It was as though he was not affected by the aura exuding out of Di Shan's gigantic true form. Ku Mi, who was standing behind Duan Rufeng, had turned a little pale now. Although Ku Mi was very powerful, that he could even be considered as one of the top powerhouses in Azure Cloud Mansion, he was still a lot weaker when faced with Di Shan, who was at the same level with Duan Rufeng. Mansion Master Duan, if you insist on killing Di Ju, I can only choose to fight you to protect him. Di Shan's voice was lively when he spoke. Naturally, if you're willing to choose another method to solve this matter, our dragon clan will treat you as our friend instead. The dragon clan wouldn't fight their friends. What, is that a threat? Duan Rufeng chuckled as black flames surged out of his body abruptly. The devilish flame soared up into the sky as though it could devour everything in its path. At the same time, 2 blood-red flames seemed to have risen in Duan Rufeng's eyes as though he was about to devour somebody. A hint of dread and anger could be seen in Di Shan's huge eyes when he saw the menacing aura that could even suppress his own imposing aura constantly surging out of Duan Rufeng's body. A part of him dreaded Duan Rufeng's ability. After all, Duan Rufeng's strength was well known even though he had risen up only a short while ago. It was to the point that he was even ranked ahead of Di Shan in the Supreme Saint ranking. In all honesty, his confidence was less than 50% fighting against Duan Rufeng. Another part of him was infuriated that Duan Rufeng did not give him a way out. Could Duan Rufeng not see that he had intended to make peace with him? This was the Dragon Clan. As the clan leader of the Dragon Clan, he, naturally, would not destroy the clan's almighty image. However, he discovered Duan Rufeng seemed to not have understood his intention and actually wanted to fight him. That aside, even if he wanted to fight with Duan Rufeng, he would not have chosen to do it here.